All right, everybody. We are back and we are live here at our Las Vegas experience at AWS reInvent. I am solo today, so I will be your host. I will be talking a lot to myself. No, just kidding. We got a lot of guests coming in and out, so I'm going to entertain everybody with a kickoff of the event. We are day 3 underway of AWS reInvent. And for those of us that have been doing podcasts the entire week and setup, this is like day 5, 6. I'm not sure what day of the week it is. Don't worry about it. Before we get started, let's give a huge shout out to our sponsors of this event. And we're going to skip right on over to Cohesity. Thank you so much, VMUG. And we've got Go to Market Delta and Myer Media. Up today, 9 o'clock, we have the Shift Group will be joining us for the podcast. And I'm actually going to bring a couple of other spontaneous guests on that are in the room. Don't worry, let's kick over to the room cam. Hey, room cam up there. Yeah. All right. Don't worry. Some of these folks, look up the right up on the. Oh, yeah. There you go. See, yeah, we've got the complete setup ready to go. Okay, I'm going to be pulling in a couple of these folks here in a little bit as we get underway. PTP, thank you so much. We had Ethan yesterday on the show live. All right, and then talking about it, N2WS, Ezra is here. Now, we always joke about this, and I learned this about 2 years ago, is that N2WS stands for, actually, you know what? I'm going to pull in some audience thing. This is just too much fun for the event. And as I switch cam, does anybody in our audience know what N2WS stands for? Oh, I love this. All right. You're ready for this? Not to worry software. I have just educated you for reInvent. You are welcome. You're safe to go home with some new information. Okay. Bellflare Technologies. You know what? I do not have that French accent like Eric. Speaking of Eric, Eric's got a little tied up here, a little under the wind, weather just because of Vegas and being run down. So I'm running it solo, but we're going to keep things moving. I don't think I have as much finesse for him like he does for these podcasts, but don't worry about it. I'll try to fill in for the event. Ibex Labs, Labra Shridi was on our show on, I think it was Monday that we had on there, and we were talking about OpSync and Flyout. Thank you so much. Disco Posse Podcast, Eric himself. Thank you. Morpheus Data. Brad Parks was here yesterday doing a podcast / panel discussion. It was pretty cool. Converge Technologies. And then we got Bob from Rack. And hey, you know what, Bob? Oh, he's on his phone. Hey, raise your hand. Yeah. Raise your hand. Yeah. All right, cool. He'll be actually joining on a thing. Hey, you know what? I'm winging it today. So my audience is actually my entertainment. Usually I entertain myself when I talk on my own podcast, but thank you so much. Lucid Link. Aria Cloudfix, Kit Caster, Halo Radius, and Michael Levan. All right, now time to get rid of that and back to me that we had onto the show. You know what? I just realized I had the overlay kicking on that, so I'm going to click back to our audience cam. You know what? I got to manage this entire thing myself, and usually Eric's on that, so don't worry about it, folks. We're going to entertain. Let's do a quick recap of what was happening. So day 2 yesterday, Adam Solipsky was on. And he had a bunch of cool things and some of the announcements. I'm going to run through a couple of those. SimSpace Weaver, they had some announcements for EC2, the HPC 6 ID instances, the Infra instances, AWS, actually Amazon Connect. I actually had 2 announcements in this as Lens and step-by-step guidance for Agents Workspace, Security Lake, and then the supply chain. Now, let's talk about what's happening today here at reInvent. Right now, Swami's keynote is going on, and Swami's always interesting to watch the AI ML space that he kind of really goes through everything. Everybody understands, I come from a deep racer background, a huge passion for that one. So Swami was always helpful in promoting the event on the live stream. Now, there are some partner keynotes with Ruba Borno, who these are the partner keynotes, and she's the vice president of the AWS Worldwide Channels and Alliances. And then let's not forget the leadership sessions. One of the big ones for the leadership sessions was Francesca Vasquez, who's actually been on my podcast. Really nice lady to join it. I've seen her in a lot of the places that she will be. Let me see, where do I got her? The Executive Cloud Insights happening from 5:30 to 6:30 today. So Francesca is the vice president of technology and customer solutions. All right. So happening at 9 o'clock or 9ish, whenever everybody gets here. Oh, real quick. If you want to follow us, don't forget to go hashtag LV reinvent 22 or go to gotomarketdelta.com/live. You can follow along everywhere you can. We are streaming pretty much everywhere that's possible. I can't stream double on LinkedIn. So this is on Eric's channel. Eric, I hope you feel better. I think he partied too hard last night for his 50th. That's all I'm gonna say and leave there. I mean, don't worry, he's dedicated to you folks, but he left you in semi good hands for the event. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's talk about a couple of things that are happening today. We are on day 3, and with day 3 comes a little wear and tear of everything, but nothing too shy to some of the releases. Let's see who we can get on the show from our audience. Who do we got? Oh, I saw it. Go ahead. Come on, Bob. Come on over. You know what? This is called pick your audience. When you're in there, you get to pick to whoever you want, and we'll bring them in right here in front. It's like we're gonna have an old-fashioned conversation, right? Hey. All right. So come on in. Let me give you a little bit of a sound there. Okay. Are you good? All right. Let's turn these puppies back up. All right.
Now it's an old-fashioned conversation.
There it is. Come on a little closer. So Bob, real quick.
Rob, yeah.
Rob, I apologize. So Rob, before I introduce you, or let you introduce yourself for it. How was your run this morning?
It was great.
Yeah, you took over the group for Eric.
I did.
How did they take it?
They were really disappointed, but no, it was nice. We had a small group. We were competing with the Amazon run, so it was just like 6 or 7 people.
Oh,
so
at the same time,
we all had one conversation. It was actually, which is unusual for a run, so it was good.
I can't find myself having a conversation during a run. Usually I get a little tired for that one. You guys are definitely pros. All right, Rob, why don't you introduce yourself, the company you're from, and tell us a little bit about it.
I'd be happy to. My name is Rob Hirschfeld. I'm CEO and co-founder of RackN. And RackN provides infrastructure automation software. So we build a platform that does infrastructure as code and helps normalize all different types of infrastructure, from bare metal to cloud to pretty much anything, and then run an end-to-end process, which is really significant. And that's where the hard stuff comes in.
When you say end-to-end process, what does that look like?
Oh boy, for bare metal, it means a piece of gear shows up, it gets turned on, and at the end of about an hour, it has working infrastructure running workloads. For cloud pieces, it's even more fun because you can take automation like a Git run or something like that, and then build a whole cluster, automate the process, install the software, get everything running, do your job, and then just have it all torn down for you automatically. So in that case, it literally is the start to the finish of the infrastructure.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I apologize. I'm not switching to like cameras. I got so many cameras here. Oh man.
This is where you realize that somebody makes it look easy.
Yeah.
You realize what's going on in the background.
Well, Eric has mastered it over. He had a couple of days to actually flick the buttons and everything. So I've got like this one versus that, and going, and then I gotta realize I can go to 4 and go to you. So first of all, everybody that's watching, I'm gonna fumble for the first hour. Bear with me. We'll get through this.
Neural pathways being formed as we watch.
And trust me, this is interesting. Oh, why am I seeing my black magic switching? Hey, look at that. Hold on a second. I'm seeing like the black magic come up instead of the preview. Here we go. How can I cut to that? Oh man, I'm having technical difficulties on it. 4 is actually showing the preview of the room and the thing. Now that is very interesting. So I'll tell you what, Rob, we're going to do this. Hang tight, folks.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
You like that? You like that? That
get my good side.
That yeah. You know what? So for some reason, one of the buttons was pressed, and I'm not going to figure it out right at this point. So all I did was that's 4, and then it goes to this one, and I'm just going to do 3.
I always like the manual fix, just like.
Oh man, are you watching the stream? Invested in. All right, so listen, he's come back from the dead a little bit. Hey,
the genie has reappeared.
Real quick, as we do some technical stuff, because listen, this does take a crew. Excuse me, sir. 4 is showing. Ah man, the little button that's right there. All right, go recover. You're out. He's either listening to me or he's realizing this is a little bit of a wonky. This is why, we are a team, and it gets us set up. Oh, okay. Now I can switch back to you. Look at that. I still have your. Oh no, you're right here now. We can switch it for your good side if you want. Okay.
I don't have a good side. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, talk to me about doing it for cloud. You know, we're here at AWS reInvent
Sure.
22. We're on day 3 of Wednesday. For some of us, it's like day 54 because we're a little bit run down on some.
That's the Vegas time dilation effect.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to me a little bit about doing this for cloud.
So what people miss with cloud, because we were like, oh, the cloud or Amazon, or there is no one cloud, right? Amazon particularly has 200 plus services, and even to do something simple like bring up a VM, you actually have to invoke 5 or 6 different services. Some of the clouds are even more services for that. And so when you're doing any type of work on the infrastructure, you have to be able to actually orchestrate all of those pieces together. And that's just to create a VM. It's not even to install software on the VM, to put your credentials on the VM, make it accessible, monitor it, govern it, do a security audit on it. There's a huge list of operational work that actually needs to be performed for any of this stuff to work. And so, here's what's funny. It's not cloud or bare metal or VMware. None of that. All of the things I'm describing are actually common across every type of infrastructure. Different APIs, but what you have to do to get things working: attach a network, install an operating system, put in credentials. All that stuff has to happen on every type of infrastructure. It's not cloud specific. But then to make it work, and people are used to things like Terraform, which does a really nice job of handling some of those API calls. So you can turn a half dozen API calls into a single Terraform. It's awesome. But that only still brings up a VM. Doesn't install things on it. It doesn't coordinate activities after that. It doesn't check, log in, and do governance. There's a lot of pieces and parts that you actually have to get right to make all this stuff work.
So what you're saying is that there are a number of steps that are taken for granted typically when you go out and click deploy this VM, whether in your public cloud and you say, okay, I want this instance. And there are a number of things like Terraform, you have to define everything already to get started. So in order to, from your VPC to like the keys you're going to use, the subnet you want to deploy out, everything.
If you look under the covers in the Terraform pieces, yes, you have to do quite a bit.
So what you're saying is that, I mean, you guys handle it. What I'm imagining, right?
Yeah.
So I come up from a data center, traditional data center, rack 'em, stack 'em, and like pixie booting servers and getting the OS installed, getting it deployed. You go out to the data center, you put it in the thing, and you just like, okay, you hope it picks up that MAC address that you assigned to it.
Yeah.
You install the OS, and then you got the OS, and then you kind of moved it over there. But then when you decommissioned the server, you basically had to take the hard drives. Somebody had to go take them and do, level 7 on it and, wipe the crap out of them before you actually got to reuse them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all that stuff is it's not hard to automate. It's tedious and tricky, right? So, that's the funny thing about any of this stuff. It's none of the individual pieces are hard. It's doing it together in a reliable sequence that gets very, very hard. And that is what keeps people from doing what we consider cloud type hygiene. So even on bare metal, what you really want to do is have processes that can set, reset, scrub, put systems back. And if you're going to do it, which you should, then you want that has to be reliable, right? We have customers who do bare metal work on a CI/CD infrastructure, which means they literally tear down all of their infrastructure, on a constant, ongoing basis. And if your systems aren't reliable enough to do that, you're going to literally have system fails. You're going to do nothing but recover systems. So it has to be reliable all the way through. But this is what's funny to us. That's cloud. If I told you, oh yeah, we have processes, right? Our customers really prefer this, where they can push a button, reset a whole cluster, reset a whole rack, and then pick it back up and get it going again, all automatically. That's cloud. The fact that you do it with bare metal servers or not doesn't really make any, whether it's in the cloud or VMs or on bare metal, it's the process that really is changing how people think about it.
So Rob, walk me through the process, right? So why would I contact Rack, and why would I contact you guys? What am I looking for to achieve versus actually going to the cloud or utilizing it? Now it is the cloud. I always love the saying, and we're going to say it here live. The cloud is just somebody else's data center, right? And but you use it for the services that are available. That's why you go to cloud. The services that are available and the efficiency of it and the cost that you don't have to do day in and day out of managing all this infrastructure. Walk me through the process of, you know, reaching out to you? Like, what does it look like? Why would I reach out to you? What am I looking to achieve?
So there's a couple of things. Typically, our customers, always our customers, are looking to create incredibly repeatable infrastructure processes that don't require humans, right? I mean, very at high level, very simple. If you're an operator, you're a platform team, your goal is to disappear, right? I like to say the purpose of the platform is to disappear. And so from an operations perspective, you're enabling other teams. You want to provide them with good APIs, or you want to just have things flow from their requests to operations and back. So our customers are looking for basically business goals where their operations team is not, is involved. They're doing the work, they're doing compliance or governance, they're doing all the work behind the scenes, but they don't create any drag in their process, right? That's why cloud is so popular. It's not necessarily that much less work, but it definitely has somebody else getting in the way of the process. IT in a lot of cases has gotten in the way of infrastructure delivery, right? Our customers work really hard to get out of the way of infrastructure delivery. That's why that story about building up a cluster and getting it into production in an hour versus it used to take most of our customers, it would be 30 to 60, sometimes 90 days to get a ship server. And they're doing even more fun stuff like that. They actually take a shipping manifest and it checks the manifest against what gets delivered, and will raise errors or faults if what showed up on the dock doesn't match what they got shipped. So literally just take all the human elements out of getting those systems delivered.
I liked it because I remember when you had to order and you had to plan for servers, it was planning this year for next year. You'd get them in April. By the time you got them racked, it's in June or July. You're already outdated. The information, the hardware, the firmware, rack it. You have to somebody manage it and get it up there. Get it now.
The teams you'd have to coordinate the wiring. It was insane, and we had a lot of times. This goes back to the days when I was at Dell and we were doing this, and we had customers who would get shipments from Dell, and we know exact dates because Dell charges you the day they all do. The day the gear hits the dock is the day they get paid. And so they would do that, but then they wouldn't have the people, the teams, the resources to get everything wired and going and on for months. And we would be calling up our customers saying, hey, you got the gear, you paid for the gear, let us help you get it online. And they're like, yeah, we're not ready, we haven't, whatever. And it took months and months and months and months and months. It's just completely unacceptable from that perspective. And it required, even though it's simple stuff, it required a lot of time and people. Actually, I have a funny story.
All right, I'm going to let you share it in 1 second. So real quick, I want to give a shout out to everybody, just letting everybody know that I'm running. I can't say I'm running solo today. I've got a group of people here that I'm going to be pulling left and right. If they're not, they'll know it already. Rob's been so generous to jump in here. He's also one of our sponsors today. So we're just having a sit-down casual conversation of understanding things. Do not forget, you can follow us on hashtag LVReinvent22 on all social media channels. Go to gotomarketdelta.com/live. Now, getting back to your topic, the number of hands involved in getting a server not only ordered, docked, racked, cabled, powered, installed, the time it takes, if I said it was, probably takes you about 3 to 6 months. I mean, I'm saying hitting the dock at that point or whatever it is. Is that a kind of like accurate by the time it actually gets racked, unless you've got some weight or pull to get things going?
To order server number one, it can take time. What we see with our customers, they usually work with a systems integrator who's delivering them a wired rack. So everything's ready to go. You plug it in and it's set. They've already made decisions about IP allocations. They've got all that stuff done. Nowadays, they're like, we need capacity. They put in an order and they get a rack in a couple of weeks. And so it's not that big a deal. It's harder because we have multinational customers and they have to get gear in different places. The things that get really interesting are when they start switching vendors up, when they add new, right? When a vendor can't get certain types of gear and they make switches, get vendors change, NICs or cards and things like that all the time. There's
a lot of human elements added to it that slows the process down because everybody's doing some things. Like if you had a server that you ordered, but they didn't have it anymore and you had to replace it. Isn't that a human interaction to communicate and bring it back to them saying, hey, listen, you know, your Dell 386, sorry, it's not going to be a hair, but I got a 240, or, you know.
And we're way down on the bare metal. I hope that's interesting to people.
You know what? How it all started out, we can get down on the bare metal. We are here at AWS reInvent 22. We are talking about the bare metal only because that's where I think what it does is it gives people a starting point. But anyway,
people forget how important it is. But one of the things that we do, so there's a story in the what I think when I look at it at AWS. All right, so let's pull all the way back to AWS, because AWS has a challenge in front of it, right? Everybody talks about how complex they are. They keep getting more complex. We see this in the sessions. They introduce, you know, products.
And we're here at reInvent, and they're gonna drop a couple more just in case.
So right, I mean, the supply chain as a product, not even a platform. I'm confused. So they're adding to the top. And so we have what old data centers look like. So it's interesting to talk about the bare metal and everything you're describing. Amazon services are actually getting as complex or more complex than what we're describing, with different services, different components. You have to wire stuff together, but you actually have to have a lot of understanding to make all this stuff work. It's not just, ship me a rack of servers, turn it on, and it works. To make that happen, a lot of things have to go. It's actually why, if you want to take the parallel, all of our cloud stuff it's actually easier to do what we do in cloud, because there's actually pretty productive APIs. You get the stuff faster. It's easy to go through it and rehearse and drill. But it's exactly the same request. What customers want, I want to ask for stuff. I want to get it. Everything should happen automatically. Cloud's no different. It's incredibly hard for anybody to take Amazon and build an infrastructure with all the pieces they want, all wired together, all of those pieces and parts that have to happen. That actually takes a lot of operational work to make it consistent. The thing that we've done really well out of our history, we got tired of the idea that every time we did an IT operation, we did it bespoke, meaning one off for each thing. And we watched this happen all over the industry. They're like, oh, I'm building Amazon clusters. Great. Build me more clusters. And they make copies of all their automation, and then they build it. And now they have two ways to build clusters, right? They start off on day one sort of similar, but they drift really quickly. Or they have 3 teams. Each team, even if they start with the same stuff, ends up doing different things. And then the operator shows up and is like, all right, how do I help team 1 and team 2 and team 3, because they've actually all diverged. And so the ops team is running around trying to figure out who's doing what, how to make it consistent. If they fix a bug, and this drives me insane, if they fix a bug in the automation for team 1, they're going to have to repeat the fix on team 2 and team 3.
And how often is that different in that fix, like that process? Oh, I fixed this bug, but now I figure it out too.
So this is what Rack and fixes. This is the infrastructure as code piece that we set out to eliminate. Because what we wanted to be able to do is say, all right, I want my automation to be repeatable team to team to team, dev, test, prod. I want confidence that when I test something, that test my automation, that I can lift up that automation and use it in production without worrying that the fidelity wasn't right or something changed in production, and then be able to replicate, because our customers are spinning up hundreds of clusters. It's not like you have one production system. You have hundreds. And the fidelity of the automation between those systems, if you fix a bug, to be able to test that bug, make sure it works, and then replicate it in production and then roll that out. If you can do that, it removes so much toil, so much frustration in actually making this stuff work. And that's one of the things for us that we saw going on in the industry that just we set out to change. But it doesn't matter whether it's bare metal or cloud or anything else. The fact that you can do a development cycle on your automation, be confident that it worked, and then roll it out to other people is important. We actually go a step further, because we're a software company, and we actually take that automation and make it work for our different audiences. So when we improve a cluster configuration process, becomes code, versioned code, and then we can roll it out to our customers. They take in the new versions of the code, and then they get the benefit of whatever we fix. And so you're eliminating the toil for actually doing that work. Yeah.
How easy is it for me to make my dev test productions environments all the same? So I build my dev environment, right? And I have it down pat. You know where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
Rob, because here's what I think. I built my dev, right? Guess what? My dev's now my production, right? And how easy is it to actually go, you know what? I want to take this. I want to make this my test. I want to make this my production environment and make it exactly the same throughout everything. Is it like a long process, or can I just do my click of the buttons and get all this stuff automatically?
So our goals are to actually make it easier to do that, have repeatable infrastructure than it is to have custom infrastructure, custom automation. So for rack end customers, it's super easy to replicate that success across the board because it's actually very, very easy to take. I should explain this. Um, our platform is called Digital Rebar. When our team develops in Digital Rebar, when our customers develop in Digital Rebar, they don't log into the UX and start hacking on it. They actually work in an IDE. They write the software that they want, improve the automation, and then they will upload it as an immutable artifact into their dev environment. This is why it becomes super easy. So now I've actually got Git managed artifacts that I'm building and working with as immutable in my dev environment. I'm not like hacking up whatever weird stuff. I'm actually doing an IDE. I'm pushing into the automation system, and then I test it. That's our dev process.
So, well, that sounds very detailed and I guess like a production process, right? Normally I see this is just dev test. I'm just going to quickly push it out there, but you've kind of defined the process for not only dev to mirror production or production to mirror dev. So that way you are similar throughout the entire process of actually deploying it out. And there's no differences. Actually, I have just noticed that where, throughout our entire conversation here, you've talked about things being repeatable, right? And the same throughout the entire process. So you're not getting something different from versions to code deployment to your infrastructure.
That consistency is incredibly important. And you have to build a system that recognizes that every deployment is different, right? And this is the subtlety. Just because you're consistent and repeatable doesn't mean that you're identical in all the deployments. So part of what we've had to build is something that says, oh, wait a second, everything we do, there are differences. The differences are important. The differences are valuable. But we don't want to have to toil through, reinventing the automation every time. How do we make it so the automation works consistently across different environments and allows me to have different environments? Because it's the way people think they're going to solve this. And actually, this is one of the illusions of Amazon. Everybody's like, oh, Amazon has it easy because they just buy identical stuff. And
do they really buy identical stuff? I mean, or do they just make? I mean, I know there's going to be no answer that somebody's going to give me, but there's no way that they're buying identical. They're just
it's not. They've been in business way too long to have identical stuff. This is right. If you, this is the innovation piece. When you build consistent, reliable automation that is resilient to change and variation, that allows you to innovate. Because, right, you talked about this in the hardware. It's going to drift. It's going to change. You're not going to be able to get something. Somebody's going to come up with a new idea. ARM. Let's use ARM instead of Intel. Right. The systems have to be resilient to handle the differences. Right. For Amazon, for the big clouds, they actually use SmartNICs and they differentiate using, it's called Nitro in Amazon speak. They actually have a networking interface that allows them to create a consistent interface to all their machines that allows the machines underneath to be different. And so they pick some abstraction points that create a lot of leverage for them. I keep waiting for this to be available more generally to the public. SmartNICs are very hard to manage, and so and they're expensive. So we haven't seen a lot of adoption. But for Amazon or Microsoft or Google, they actually have a abstraction point on each server that allows them to change the server but keep their control points similar.
I didn't know that.
Think about that.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that. So, Rob, we're going to have a couple more minutes. We'll wrap things up, but I know you're going to stick around today. In fact, Rob might actually be joining me as a co-host throughout some of it. I really appreciate it. Short, long story, whatever it is. This morning, I came down over to the Shake Shack, and there's Rob, right? And he's, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, I just want to let you know you're on your own, and Eric suggested that you run in his place and lead the team if you don't mind. And then Rob's like, all right, I got it. I was like, okay. And I might be a solo host today. He's like, I'll join if you want. I'm like, I could use some extra leadway, some more stuff, more information going on. But all right. So, Rob, before we kind of wrap things up, I have two questions for you. I have a comment. I just noticed in Swami's keynote, he was talking about infrastructure. So, we were getting down there, and so is he. So he was talking about the infrastructure for Amazon DynamoDB, and he was going into it a little bit. So real quick, everybody, you can follow us on hashtag LV Reinvent22. Go to marketdelta.com/live. You can reach out to us on all channels. Do me a favor, comment on this feed. Comment what's going on. I'll try to bring into some of the comments. Hit me on my DMs. I am the person who is doing the controls. Yes, I'm winging it. That would apply that the rest of the week was planned, but if you know us, it wasn't. So we're doing a bunch of things here, and I'm trying to manage that and social media at the same time. I appreciate everybody's leadway because this is not easy. I mean, you've seen our setup. It takes a village to do this. A huge shout out to our crew. Christine, Kirsten, thank you so much for helping me out during this crazy. I mean, all the guests that are in the room. In fact, let me give I can actually turn the cam now to it and not show the program. Hey, everybody in the crew. Yeah, this time I am not showing the feed from the Black Magic. You know what? I'll tell you, we're running two of those at the same time. Okay. Now, Rob, I want to get back to you for wrap things up. Sure. Two questions. AWS reInvent 22. How are you feeling about it? What are you looking forward to? Is there anything released that you were excited about? Are you still waiting for some more information? Or are you just like enjoying the networking of the event?
I love the networking. That is the unplanned networking. The plan that's been amazing. I'm still a little bit confused.
Okay, tell me how you're confused.
I don't feel like Amazon's messaging is connecting together to form a story at the moment, and so things that they're releasing, and this is true in general, but in general, Amazon is a toolkit, and they're always adding tools, and so the story
or features to those tools,
and so they're sort of like, here's, open the toolbox, look at this tool. It's, you can actually imagine them reaching into that toolbox and say, look at this.
I'm actually envisioning that toolbox. Here's my bucket.
Here's the wall stretcher that I just added. Isn't it cool? It now can stretch two walls at once. And put it back and then open the new one. It's sort of like, it's that sort of Christmas morning experience. But they're starting to add things into that mix that they're not defining as tools, as platform extensions. They're defining as products. And it's confusing to me if Amazon is moving away from being a platform company, where it's like, look at all the cool tools in our toolbox. You build what you want. That was the theme in, I think, 2019, 2018. Right, you're the builder. This time, they're missing that overarching theme that, to me, connects in. The one I keep scratching my head on is the supply chain piece, where they're like, we have a new product. It's a supply chain tool.
That was just released yesterday, right? The supply chain, and we're talking on Adam's keynote, the supply chain from end to end for it.
And they didn't release a set of tools to help you manage supply chains. They released a supply chain product. And so I'm trying to figure out how that fits together.
Maybe they're trying. So I'm going to just say maybe they're trying to release the supply chain, and now there's tools that are going to attach to it. I'm assuming that all of their services work with supply chain. That's usually how it goes. I'm not sure. I haven't dug into it a little bit. There is so much always to catch up from all things.
And this, to me, is where the story's missing. It's not usually that they would say, let me show you how the tools built this thing. And I haven't seen that part of the platform piece. And then everybody's just watching to wait to see who Amazon is going to compete with in these pieces. And so it's always an interesting thing when the partners are like, wait, is Amazon Services Partners now competing with me? Am I going to have to fight for them? Is my ERP systems going to be competing with Amazon on, and that's, we're always, that's always a concern, right? They're a huge shopping system and video streaming company, and now ERP vendor,
Don't forget healthcare.
and a healthcare vendor, and their appetite for new markets is very high. They're not staying in the platform box, and so it's unclear if those things are going to be successful. It's very hard to build software products in verticals, right? You have to service it. They clearly have expertise. They need a supply chain product. Totally get it. They have customers who need a supply chain product. That makes sense to me. But those are products, and products are different than platforms.
What I envision supply chain is obviously Amazon needed it, right? And what they needed was a cloud service, and that's where AWS came from, right? They built this because they were really good and efficient at building their systems over and over again. And they're like, hey, why can't we service this? Well, they've kind of understood that, hey, Amazon needs this. AWS built this for that. Hey, why don't we offer this to folks?
Sure. The first services were not necessarily AWS services. Were not necessarily. They were going to become Amazon.com services, but there's still a degree of separation in this, and the challenge with products, right, is that they serve multiple customers. I'll go back to what Rackend does. We write automation, and we spend a lot of time making that automation work across all of our customers, because reducing the toil, finding the commonalities, being able to support that is the value, right? Just the automation itself is great, but you can wire together your own automation. The fact that you can take automation that we have working across multiple customers, and we prove that it works, and then we sustain it, and we get feedback, and we'll fix bugs, that you'll get the benefit of that fix without you having to find the bug yourself. That's a product. Right. It's different than a toolkit where you're like, well, you wired all these things together. It's on you. This has always been Amazon's thing. It's on you if you wired it together wrong. Not us. We're just providing the tools. If you accidentally cut the board too short, you better buy another board. It's not our fault.
Measure twice, cut once.
Right. Products tend to be sort of like, oh, wait a second, I better have a guard on this, and I better provide some measuring tapes, and I better, right. You're like, all right, if 20 people are cutting the board too short, it's us. It's not you. Amazon hasn't cared that much. But.
Gotcha. All right, Rob. So my last question is, how can people reach out to you? What's the best place?
Oh boy, that used to be a simple question.
Well, you can say Twitter. Every day we joke that Twitter is still here, but people are transitioning, so it could be Twitter and
much
Mastodon.
Harder to reach on Twitter. I go by the handle Zehicle, Zehicle. It's like vehicle, but with a Z, on pretty much every platform. So I'm easy to find.
Oh my God, you're like Eric, and nobody's picking Disco Posse, right? So I like that. I am waiting for the tool to be developed where I can find you in every single platform, and when I post about you or tag you, you have approved for me to tag it in every single platform, so I don't have to remember your name in every single.
That would be a blessing. So there's a benefit for Mastodon potentially in their Fediverse, is to create a Feda address book. Maybe.
Ooh, I like that.
There've been a couple of attempts of doing things like that, avatars and things like that, but it's incredibly hard to get critical mass. But Zehicle online, rackend.com, if you want to find my company and learn more about the product that we're talking about, infrastructure as code, and start playing with that. Tons of materials about infrastructure as code and platform teams and how to create repeatable process, all my favorite topics.
Oh, nice. Rob, thank you so much for joining me and filling in the space here. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. We're going to bring on our next group. Shift Group is actually going to be joining us for the next conversation. So, Rob, thank you so much. And I know you're sticking around. And Rob will be pulled in left and right to enjoy some of this.
Excellent. Thanks, John.
And now if I can find that button. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Yeah. Thank you, Reb. So you can follow us on LV Reinvent 22. Don't forget to comment, make some noise here on LinkedIn, Twitter. We are not on Mastodon because we're not streaming there yet. But hey, whenever that's possible, we'll do that on YouTube. Go to gtmdelta.com/live. You can hit me up on LinkedIn at John Myer, Twitter at _John Myer, because I couldn't get the other one. You can't find me on that. What can I say? But I am on Mastodon at John Meyer. And I can't remember the rest of it, but you can get it on on Twitter. It's in my description. It's so I'm gonna switch back over to Rob. Look at it, he's dying over here on my stuff.
You just described the challenge of Mastodon in one.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Don't forget, everybody, we are live streaming all day. We still got another day of awesome events happening for the live stream. We're going to be pulling people in left and right to see what they think here, not only at AWS reInvent 22, but how things are going, not only in the public cloud space, but the infrastructure and some of our companies that are handling it and some of the problems that occur. My name's John Meyer, and I'm not filling in. I'm just solo hosting for Mr. Eric Wright from Disco Posse Podcast. It was his 50th yesterday, and I think he's still celebrating it. I'm not sure. Well, that's probably a blog post for something like that. All right, everybody, we are going to be right back. Wow, man, that was a quick 5-minute break. I think we need a 10-minute break building here. Maybe I'll click 5 twice, right? And then nobody will care about that. Hi, everybody. My name's John Meyer. I am the solo host today for the go-to-market Myer Media Las Vegas at reInvent Experience. Wow, that's a long mouthful. Anyway, Eric Wright is resting up after a nice long night here. You can't blame the guy here in reInvent in Las Vegas. Don't forget to follow us, hashtag LV reInvent 22. Our live stream, you can comment, you can make anything you want to do on there. Actually, not anything. We are in Vegas though. I want you guys to reach out or make some noise. Hit up our DMs. You got some questions for our host? You got some questions for me or what's happening right now? A quick reInvent recap. We are on day 3, and for those of us been here, it's day 5. We've been live streaming and testing things out all week, bringing you the latest information or some insider information, let's just say, because we have no sneak peeks. Swami is right now on his keynote. He's got an hour left of it. He's right now talking about the trusted language extensions for PostgreSQL, Amazon RDS, some infrastructure stuff that was really kind of talking about beforehand. And, I always like Swami's keynotes. AIML is really interesting, coming from the Deep Racer stuff. He always brings a perspective. Nice guy. I had a chance to meet him here at Remars in June. Now, we've got our next guest up. Actually, our next sponsor. Well, you are a guest. You're a guest in our hotel suite. We got some fun things to talk about. But before we get to that one, I'm going to let him introduce himself. All right, JR, floor is all yours.
My name is JR Butler. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Shift Group, headquartered out of Boston and Miami.
All right, talk to me. First of all, I love what Shift Group does. You got to talk to me and share with everybody because I want to pick your brain on how cool this is.
So what we do is we're a training and sales recruiting business, but we specifically focus on a small part of the population. We work with former college, professional, and Olympic athletes and military vets. So we take these folks as they're transitioning out of that first part of their life and into their next one. And we give them the foundational skills it takes to sell business to business technology solutions, really.
JR, this is very admirable of you guys. First of all, the military stuff is really what kind of drives me towards it. And then if you think of the professional, the college, the Olympic athletes, a small portion of their career is spent in these professional sports, right? They're done. A lot of athletes are done, in their 30s, and you're like, oh man, they're past their prime for that type of thing, and it's really sad because how many of them think of the future afterwards? That's where you guys come in and you enable them and you help them out through the process. Talk to me a little bit more about that because I wasn't involved in sports growing up, and it's something that I miss. And now I see some of these guys who are doing great things afterwards, and then you don't hear from some of them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the data is actually a lot more scary than even what we think of, right? Like, only 2% of the college population are athletes. So that's a small percentage to begin with, right? 460,000 out of 19 million college students make it to that level where they're making the sacrifice to, get on buses, go to practice, go to the weight room, and carry the same academic workload. And then only 2% of them go on to play professional. And 99% of them play for less than 3 years. So a huge portion of the athletic population does not make enough money where that's it for them. Like 99.9% of athletes need to work again. And I think, like you said, when you're getting to that level of sports, you have to be fully committed. You have to be bought in. You have to be 100% focused on becoming as good as you can at that game or at that sport. So what we do a really good job of, I think, is educating them on what they do already bring to the table as former athletes that is going to make them successful in whatever they decide to do next. Specifically for us, obviously, that's selling technology to large companies. And I think, you can think of the normal intangibles, right? Resiliency, competitiveness, coachability, work ethic. Athletes and vets have those things inherently. It's part of who they are. So we don't have to teach that, which is huge.
Okay, and this is where it comes in, because we are at AWS reInvent 22, and you're thinking, okay, what does the shift group have to do with this? But now you're teaching them the technology, right? And going through it and understanding it, because as a sports athletic person, they only know the sports. They know how to do the playbook, and some of them do know technology. Great, they're working on it and towards that. But really, how do you approach that? If I come to you and I was a professional player and you said the average is 3 years, but actually that's the scariest statistic, right? Because most of them need to make what they need to live off in those 3 years, or they're going to have a tough time. And that's why you see some that are still going to secondary education and
Totally.
another thing. Now, talk to me about the approach that you do for this. I mean, first of all, it takes a big person to come to you guys and say, hey, listen, I need these skill sets.
Yeah. So listen, I and I worked with Eric for a long time, and he'll tell you too, like I'm probably one of the more technical salespeople that you'll run across, right? Like I had a big time thirst for knowledge and really understanding how things tick. But where we spend a lot of our time actually, John, is on the business acumen side, right? Because I'm a big believer that the best salespeople in the world are customer-centric people that understand the technology enough to be dangerous, but they become experts in their customers' businesses, and they become experts in the problems that they're trying to solve and the initiatives and priorities that the company's trying to achieve. And then you use it as the tool to help the customer understand how they can leverage that solution to achieve those goals that they have. So I think what we're doing that's really unique is we're raising the next generation of the customer-centric seller, which, I grew up in an era when that wasn't really the case, pushy salespeople.
Come on, you buy this. And
early
2000s,
end of the quarter. Let's do a deal, right? And
I got to make my end of it. Yeah.
and you talk to these technical buyers all the time. That's not how they operate. That's not the right way to work with them. Like you need to sincerely give a crap about what the customer is trying to solve and understand how your solution can help solve that problem. And that's where we spend our time, is like helping them uncover the biggest business problems and the biggest business initiatives, and then creatively tying their technology to those things.
Okay, so I think the best salesperson is the one who doesn't try to sell anything, right?
Right.
They're talking to the customer and they realize that they have a problem, and they end up saying, you don't need this, you need something else. I can't give it to you. Let me introduce you, right? And this is what you need. And I think that makes the best type of salesperson who doesn't try to sell. They actually care about solving a problem. If they don't make their end of the quarter, it's okay, because they've just built a long-term relationship with them, right? And they're building a thing, and that person's going to remember them. And whether they ever buy from it or not, they're connecting people.
Yeah, we actually have a term for it. We call it CFLs, customers for life. And I, here at reInvent, this is like my 8th or 9th reInvent, my first time on this side of the world where I'm selling to salespeople. But I'm running into customers that I've known since I was 22 years old. I was with a guy last night after we were in this room that I hung out with. I was in his wedding, and he was my customer for 6 years when I was a partner.
That is a true like customer for life type salesperson, where you might not ever sell to this person or whatever it is, but you have just built a long-term relationship. And how many reInvents did you say?
I've been to 8.
Been to 8 of them. So you're like a vet for this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But to the story you said earlier, my first like sales process with this customer, he was looking at storage. We were only selling at the time EMC, and his use case was really a much better fit for Nutanix. And I told him that we didn't sell Nutanix, and I said, hey man, I'll be honest, we sold you a ton of EMC for this use case. This is a better fit for it. And he's like, all right, well, give me a quote. And I was like, we don't sell it. He's like, so you're telling me to buy it from someone else? I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you what the right decision is to make. And that's how you start that true trusted relationship that turns into a CFL. You know what I mean?
Now, those are the long-term relationships that you deal with. All right. Well, I want to get back to what you guys do and achieve. And I want to talk about, I know we're here at AWS reInvent 22. Don't forget to follow us on hashtag LV reInvent and drop a question into our chats or DMs. We are monitoring them. I am the social media, the guy that's at the switchboard, at the mic, handling it all as best I can. It would not be possible without my awesome crew that's here in the room downstairs bringing you up. And it definitely would not be possible without our sponsors. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors since Shift Group is one of them sitting right here in front of me. So JR, thank you so much for sponsoring us and joining this awesome event.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's get back to some of the things you do. I want to talk about how do you approach the military aspect of it? Because I envision that's different because they have a certain skill set for the military. How does that translate to actually the real world? And I've had a number of military folks, not only existing and the ones that made the transition on my show.
Yeah, I think for military, it is different, right? Like there's a definite understanding of two things that I think are really important for successful salespeople that military vets bring, and that's command and control, and following a process and essentially doing your job as part of a larger organization. And I think that's where we really hammer home, the systematic way to approach selling, right? So the idea is this is your mission, and these are the things you need to achieve to complete that mission. So the idea of like having a playbook, having a leader that is giving you, your operational cadence, your operational rhythm, and then executing against, essentially steps, because that's really what a sales process is survive and advance. So that's with athletes, it's a little different. With military vets, that's really how we're positioning this career and like what it takes to execute well in the career. It's more about command and control, following a process and a playbook.
I know from talking to all the people, I've never served, but thank you to everybody that has from the military experience. They like a playbook. They like processes. They like a goal. They like a clear, defined, achievable thing. And you've actually just outlined that in everything you said. And I don't think you did it on purpose, but you knew that they needed this defined to help them achieve it. Do you have any stats that you can provide, not only on the college, the professional, the Olympic, or even the military, on your placement or your achievement rate for these folks on educating them? Like, how long is the process, and do they ultimately reach their goals, and I assume you never give up in trying to help these folks out, but what's it look like? I mean, how well is it doing?
We're doing well. I mean, we're going to finish the year at helping over 250 athletes and military vets get jobs in technology.
This year alone?
In 2022.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes. So, we're looking somewhere around $11 million in base salary that we've achieved for these kids that had no idea what they wanted to do when they met us, which is what I'm most proud of.
They had no idea what was possible, and you guys have helped them achieve that.
Absolutely. The process takes to get through our we call it a training camp, because that applies to both athletes and military vets. It takes anywhere from like 2 to 3 weeks. We have certain kids that are super hungry that do it in a weekend. It's probably about 25 total hours of training on the foundational skills of selling technology. And then our placement rate, if they stick with us, is 100%. We lose 25 to 30% of our candidates take jobs out of our hiring network, which hurts us because we don't charge athletes or military vets to do our training. It's free. The only way we make money is if they take a job in our hiring network. But what's funny about losing that 25, 30% is when they go to a company, they're so well trained and so well prepared that about 40% of our company base comes from companies that hire those kids without us. And then they come to us and they're like, do you have any more of these kids?
Oh, so actually it works out in the long run.
Always.
Because of the value that you're providing in education, and they trust you. They see, first of all, able to achieve it in a weekend or even 2 weeks, you kind of look at it as like, is this possible? But given what you've just provided, not only the stats of the placement rate, the staying with it, and companies that you aren't working with come to you and now, hey, we want to work with you because of this placement.
Yep.
it seems to be a proven process.
It is. And listen, it's a product of our product. That's a mouthful, but our product is unique in that, like, these people are special people. Like, I sincerely believe if you serve your country, if you make the sacrifices it takes to be an elite athlete, then you've already taken 80% of the risk off the table. And we're just taking advantage of that and applying some really concise and good training from 15 years of my experience selling technology and 15 years of my co-founder, and we're applying that, and we're keeping it concise and focused. So there's no fluff in our training. They come out and they are ready to execute 100%.
Can you, by any chance, tell me what your training looks like? I don't want to give you away any of the secrets. I want people to actually reach out to you, and we'll get to that thing. But what does training typically look like? And I'm assuming it's online training because you can do it in a weekend.
Yeah.
And those can do it aggressively. But what does it look like? And it's probably different depending on the type of personality and their background.
Yeah. So most of the training is asynchronous. It's online, self-led. That's why they can do it quickly. But essentially the way it works is there's 3 portions to it. The first portion, we call it a course, is an intro to B2B technology sales. And that's a requirement for everybody. They have to go through that. And then we give them a decision to make to say, hey, if this career sounds interesting to you and you're willing to put in more work, then we'll continue the training. And we still have like a 30% attrition rate out of that, where they're like, because we tell them, like, listen, your first job, you're making a lot of cold calls, sending a lot of cold emails. Some people hear that and they're like, not for me. And that's okay.
Yeah, but those who are hungry for it will do it. Will
Absolutely.
do their number of calls for that. And I don't want to get you off on the subject and explaining it, but cold calling will always be there.
Always, 100%. You can have all the PLG in the world, and we're seeing more and more of it every day with open source and everything that's going on and that kind of freemium model. But at the end of the day, like, companies need human interaction to really understand how to solve their problems, I think, and get out of their own world, right? When customers live in their own world, it's hard to see what the opportunity is. So I think that human interaction is always going to be there. And that's one of the, so after that intro course, John, they go into the job skill training, and the job skill training, again, it's focused. It's how do you research an account and understand a business? How do you send a cold email? How do you make a cold call? How do you do discovery and qualification? How do you use sales tools? And how do you structure your day? Like we call it operational excellence. So it's six really important foundational skills that if you get really good at, you will be successful in your first 12 months in sales, guaranteed. Nothing else really matters outside of those 6 things, in my opinion.
And the first 6 months are critical and crucial. I was talking to Ethan from PTP yesterday, and we were talking about, obviously I've launched my own business. In the first 6 months, you can do great on it, right? You're tapping your network, but then you always have to keep going after the fact. It seems like JR, you guys from the Shift Group are really dedicated to the long haul, the long run of these to make them successful. Anybody can be successful for 6 months, but taking them past that time, that's the critical.
We call it professionalism, John, right? Like, and these people get it because they're professional athletes or they're professional, military personnel. But, my dad used to tell me when I was little, my dad's a hockey coach. He used to say a lot of people play hockey, but there's not a lot of hockey players. And the difference is professionalism, right? Like, a lot of people can take a job selling software, but if you're going to be a true software sales professional and you're a student of the game, you become a subject matter expert, and you really, like, your continuous thirst for knowledge has to be there. So that's what we're training them to understand, that the reason you can make a lot of money doing this is because it's hard and you have to work really hard, but it's worth it. And I think that's what's unique about our candidates is they come out the other side wanting to do this for the rest of their careers, which is special.
It definitely is. Let's circle back here to reInvent. And real quick, I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of things. And I noticed Swami just released, they're talking about Amazon Data Zone. Catalog and discover and share your governed data across the organizations. If everybody understands AWS and multiple regions that they have, I can't keep track or count of them. Now you can actually do this using the AIML, AWS Lake Formation, Amazon Redshift, data sharing, Athena. And of course, the APIs. We were just talking with Rob from Racken and talking about how critical the APIs are to an environment and the communication. JR is definitely no stranger to any of this. Even though he's in sales, he's highly technical on a lot of this information. reInvent. We're here at reInvent 22, right? Don't forget, folks, follow us on hashtag LV reInvent 22. Go to markdelta.com/live. I'm your host, John Myer. We're joined here with JR from Shift Group talking about some of the things. JR, you're here educating folks, and your market right now, who you're gearing towards, are salespeople. And you just happen to be, there's a lot of developers, engineers, and practitioners. And those who are not attending the sessions are the salespeople behind the scenes. I'm putting pieces together. I know what 2 + 2 means and equals is definitely 5. But going through it, those are the folks that you're interested in talking to, and you don't realize how many folks here at AWS that are former athletes, former Olympics, former military that are looking for this or are coming here towards a job. What are you looking to ultimately achieve at this event or learn?
So I think the reason we decided to come here is because of what you just said, right? There's a lot of salespeople out here who are trying to meet with those developers and engineers and, taking them to dinner and, wining and dining them. But for us, we're trying to wine and dine the wine and diners. Like,
you know what? I'll tell you what, that is very admirable of it, because the people who wine and dine everybody else don't usually get the other end of it. They're the people that are like, yeah, they get foot with the bill.
Right on. So we're picking up the bill, and we're trying to beat as many, there's so many exciting new companies that are out here. And we're just trying to get in front of the leadership there to let them know that our service is out there for them as they are thinking about building their organizations, especially sales.
Well, you know what, JR, I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing for the military aspect. Let me ask you a couple more questions, because this is a great. Actually, you know what? I'm going to spin it on you, and you know where I'm going. Last night we had Rory Wheeler here. He's an awesome mission. If you've never seen him, go check him out on go-to-marketdeltas.com / Las Vegas Experience reInvent. It all goes to the same place. You got to check him out. It's pretty cool. JR, let's talk about last night a little bit. We're going to get off of something, because you had a blast with it. I mean, I think you were the best person for him to do this to. You were just totally engrossed into it. How much money did you lose?
I think a few $100. That guy's unreal. Like, the stuff that he can do it's mind boggling. It really is. Like, I was up till 1 a.m. trying to figure out what the hell he was doing.
Especially the card that was in your watch.
That was wild. Absolutely wild. I mean, I'm pretty self-aware and like aware of my surroundings. He was doing stuff to me that was like just bananas.
So okay, the one where he had the card, he put the card in his mouth, and he's like, I don't know where it's at. He kept going. Eric did that to my son the other day. We were over at his studio, and I knew the trick was coming only because Eric and I have talked about this. And he put it in his mouth. All of us, how do you keeping the audience quiet and not laughing that, hey, it's in his mouth and not saying anything was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a very talented dude. Very, very talented.
What did you think about the signature one, the 5 of hearts? No, here it is. Wait, it's in the box. First of all, it was in the box.
That was wild. Like, it doesn't, most of the stuff he did doesn't make rational sense to me, which makes it even more incredible than anything else.
I really liked it. In fact, so JR, show your hand. Yeah, we all have this like mark that we've tried to scrub off on our hand. For some reason, all of us have X's on our hand. We were trying to, like, when you're in there about to go on the field, everybody stick your hand in. Everybody did, and all of a sudden it went from like JR's all the way down to the bottom, and we had X's on our hand. I want to know how he pulled that off. In fact, Rory is joining us tonight. We have a special event happening here in the suite, hosted by another one of our sponsors, and it's a private event. VMUG is in the house right now. In fact, I'm going to go to the room cam if I can get this to work right. Room cam, give me a shout. There we go. All right. Yeah, you're on cam. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep, you're right above us. That is pretty cool. We've got the awesome setup for it. We are watching Swami's keynote live, commentating on that, but also getting an insight from the audience and the experience. JR, how can people reach out to you? What's the best way to get a hold of you? And they find this very interesting. And in fact, I'd love to have you on my podcast. Even though you're live and you're on the spot, I won't put the camera on you so you can say no, John. No, I'm just kidding.
Man.
But no, seriously. So having you on the podcast and talking about this and in depth, I'd love to get a little bit more. If you have somebody we can bring on, like that testimonial part is really like you speaking it, but somebody saying, "Hey, listen," they say, "How do they get a hold of you?"
Yeah, they can find us at www.shiftgroup.io, and also follow me on LinkedIn. It's just JR Butler. I'm a good follow on LinkedIn. I'm famous for calling out the BS of sales LinkedIn when people give bad advice. So I'm always an entertaining follow as well.
I think I am following you, but I've just been blowing up social media. I can't get a hold. I'll find everybody's feed after the fact. So before I wrap things up, JR, this has been awesome, really informative. I really appreciate you joining us. You're welcome back anytime to join us.
Absolutely. I'm in. Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Not a problem. Hey, everybody. My name is John Myer. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break as we get our next guest on here. Don't forget, you can follow us at #LVReinvent22. Go to marketdelta.com/live for all your AWS stuff. And yeah, we're not talking specifically about AWS, but we are watching Swami's keynote. I am the guy that's at the controls and watching it, posting on social media without all of our awesome help in the room and the folks here on the ground giving us a lot of that information and helping it out would not be possible. A huge shout out to you. And if you're wondering where Eric Wright is at, he's recovering from his 50th birthday. You know what? When you're in Vegas, you got to party hard a little bit, I guess. It's all good. We wish him a speedy recovery. Let's see. Let's get us a quick 5-minute break. Bring on our next guest, and we'll be right back. All right, and just like that, we're back. Man, I should have hit that double 5-minute one. Like, oh yeah, it's time for that. We'll do that a little bit later. All right, hi everybody. My name's John Myer. I am solo hosting it today. Eric will be back a little bit later joining us. He's got a lot going on and happening. He left you in semi-good hands for today. Don't forget to follow us on #LVReinvent22. Also, go to marketdelta.com/live for all your reInvent needs. And we are here live at AWS reInvent 22. We're live streaming in an awesome suite. We have a cool setup. I'm going to do a room. I got to do the room. There we go. I got the room view. Everybody wave. Hey, thank you. Look at that. We've got a cool setup happening on the event. Okay. Huge shout out to all of our sponsors on this. We got Go to Market Delta. I'm going to be out of breath trying to speed through these. It's like I don't have enough time. I do, actually. Cohesity. The other one is VMUG. Actually, VMUG is in the house. Step into the camera. There we go. Yeah. No, a little bit more. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Yeah, I'm like one of those goofy people. Don't worry about it. This is where we have a lot of fun. We just had JR from the Shift Group here on the PTP. It was yesterday with Ethan. We had Ezra from N2WS. Tia from Bellflower Technologies. Tree from Ibex Labs. Brad Parks from Morpheus Data. Huge shout out to Converge. We also have Rob in the house from Rackin, Lucid Link, CloudFix, Aria CloudFix. We just had Raul on here day 1. Actually, it's day 3 of reInvent, day 5 for us, who's been live streaming. Kitcaster, Halo Radius, and Michael Levan. All right. Jumping back over to it, we actually got, we're going to bring on a guest who just came in to hang out with us in the room. He's got a little bit of time happening. So we figured, why not? Let's pull him on there. So, okay, let's do this. I'm going to cut over and let you do the introduction. I only know Adam only from the DMs. And guess what? I said, hey, you want to be on the live stream? Let's do this. All right, Adam, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you for having me. My name is Adam Fisher. I am a cloud architect for WWT.
Okay, cloud architect for WWT. I have Chris Williams, who's an AWS hero, and I'm going to get back here on the show, who is a cloud therapist officially. How do you like that title?
It's a great title. It suits him very well, for sure. Yeah, he's very good at that job.
As a cloud architect for WWT, what do you do?
That is a great question. And so I help customers, anybody that comes to WWT and says, hey, we want to do something in the cloud, typically AWS. Myself and people like Chris, other people on our team are there to, really kind of advise and say, hey, what are you looking to do? So some customers are just starting to dip their toes and want to migrate. We can come in and say, okay, here's the best way to migrate the stuff that you have. Or you're already in there, you're looking to do something new, you're looking to develop something, and they come and really just kind of ask for our help. And so I think that cloud therapy title, there is something to it. There's a little bit of the doing in the building, but a lot of it is really just kind of talking to customers and helping them enable their organizations to be able to do cloud and do it better.
I think there's definitely something to the cloud therapist thing. I imagine Chris going like this. So you want to move to the cloud? Please step into my office and here's my couch. Why? And he's like walking through the process. I don't envision anybody at WWT, given their expertise, including Chris and yourself, is like, oh, you want to go to the cloud? All right, we're going to get you there tomorrow. No, we want to understand really what you guys are about. Walk me through like a cloud journey as a cloud architect. What are some of the things you do? What are some of the approaches you make?
Well, yeah, a lot of it is, like you said, there's some organizational change that has to happen. I mean, there's technology for sure, but there's also a lot of cloud is agile, and maybe your traditional data center technologies, the way that you did things. I was listening to some of the conversation earlier with Rob where you're talking about racking and stacking, how long it takes to get servers and do all these things. That's really fast with cloud. So some of the organizations out there, it takes some time to understand, okay, we can move so fast, but you want to do it smartly, and you want to do it in a way that's optimized for yourselves and the costs that you're going to incur when you're in the cloud. So a lot of it is really just starting off and kind of trying to find out what it is that you're trying to do. We know you want to get to cloud, but what are the whys? And once we get the answers to the whys, which is a lot of discussion, then we can kind of move on to the how from there.
Okay, the why you want to move to the cloud, just because it's cool, man. Everybody's doing it. I should do it, right? I mean, it's you said it's an organizational change, and I think that's very true for not only companies who are born in the cloud, right? You organize to go there, but companies who don't have that cloud first approach or never had it, or are there but still are not in their mature stages. You need to understand why they're trying to achieve or what they're trying to achieve in the cloud. Is it services they're trying to use versus those stuff they can't build or won't build on-prem? There's a cost. Are they trying to do a speed of innovation, the whole steps? Walk me through like organizational changes. I mean, is it a top-down, bottom-up type of approach, or is it like the middle saying, we got to go to the cloud, this is really cool?
It really depends. I mean, it definitely seems to be different with every customer. And I know a lot of times, customers will come in and say, well, what's the best way to do this? What's the best practice? And at the end of the day, there really isn't the best practice or the best way. There's what works for you. And there's a lot of, having to get people and different parts of the organization to communicate better and talk to each other and to kind of understand, okay, what is that goal? And let's all be on the same page about that goal so that we can, really work together as a team to get towards that.
So it's an ultimate organizational goal to achieve not only maybe a cloud approach, right? So when you say, actually, that's a good question. Cloud first approach. That's usually what is that an existing enterprise type of methodology, or is it a startup type methodology? We're going to the cloud first.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a combination of both, but certainly from the enterprise standpoint, there's a lot of we got to this level and we're doing things this way, so that has to you can't come in and just rip everything out and say, hey, it's got to be the startup way or this cloud native way. But there's definitely a shift that has to happen for sure, because there's you need your security teams to be in communication with the infrastructure teams, and you've got a lot of maybe interaction with development that didn't necessarily happen before. So it really is kind of trying to take those steps towards getting that communication open and maybe just interacting in a different way. But again, you don't want to just rip everything out and start over.
Oh man, there's so many ideas. Rip everything out and start over. Some companies. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with you. Let's switch gears to reInvent, and I want to ask you a couple questions. What happened here at reInvent? How many reInvents you been at?
This is my second reInvent. So I actually was here in person last year.
Yeah, there was a small crowd. It was like 30,000. I've heard some unofficial numbers, and you can't quote me on this. And this is not but everybody talking. We're in the 70s now. Whether that's registered and attending, I know actually people join and they don't even register. They actually the networking happens even outside of like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really need to register to just show up here at the podcast and have a little bit of a good time and network with folks. So you were here last year in 2021. Everything was virtual in 2020, 2019, everything. Talk to me. What are you looking to get out of this event? What are you looking for? What new services are you looking to release? No, I'm just kidding.
So many services. For me, it really is. So I have been in the AWS cloud space for the last maybe 4 or 5 years or so, but like a lot of people, I've kind of transitioned from the data center virtualization side of things. And so for me, it's really just, like you said, the networking. It's getting involved in that community. And you had mentioned VMUG being a sponsor. That's one of the things that I was very into the VMware community. But like now there's a lot of bleed over. So we've got some communities that are kind of intersecting, but a lot of new people and a lot of new vendors, companies that are out there that I'm learning about their services and what's going on. So really, it's just kind of immersing myself more in like that cloud space and that cloud community, and trying to get more involved with everything that's going out here at reInvent.
All right. One of the questions I have, so I'm really big on cost optimization with
Yeah.
AWS. That was one of my primary things and goals that I, always work towards in companies. Given our current financial status and how things are going, I'm imagining WWT is having a lot of those conversations with their customers. They want to go to the cloud, but they want to be cost efficient, or their current environment is not cost efficient. Are you having those types of conversations, or your customers approaching you as like, how can we achieve this more, or how can we cut our costs?
For sure. Yeah. And that's one of the things with cloud is that it's not a one-time purchase and then you just have people watching over it the whole time. You get those monthly bills. And so, yeah, it's definitely a big conversation. It's something that a lot of customers are looking at. And it gets back to sort of that overall shift in organization and things that you maybe didn't have to do before, where now you're, kind of setting up your financial team to be more cloud focused and to be looking at these things on a monthly basis and setting up your teams to pay attention to it. So yeah, it's definitely a huge thing for sure. I think for all customers that are out there.
Given the number of sessions that AWS has put together around cost optimization in the previous years, and they've grown. I know in 2019 there were probably a handful. In previous years, there was maybe last year might have been like 15 or something. I swear there's over 30 cost optimization sessions that AWS has put together. There's a lot going on with them and around it. Do you think cost optimization for an AWS environment or even a cloud environment, we can go to, is a one-time thing, or is it a continuous improvement and awareness?
Definitely the latter, I would say. It's a continuous thing, but like you mentioned, I mean, there's not one best way to do it. And, within AWS, they give you a lot of tools to be able to do that. But just based on the number of vendors that are out there that have those kind of services that are pitching, hey, we can do this, there's a lot of, there's a need for it. And there are people who are trying to fill that space to say, we can do this better than anybody else. And so it's really interesting to look and see what capabilities are out there and what what tools outside of what AWS gives you natively that you can utilize to potentially do that a little bit better than you are today.
AWS provides a number of tools for their cost optimization efforts. Not only the Cost Explorer, you can look through the billing console, their savings plans, their RIs. Analyzing the data in and out. There are some number of third-party tools that are really good for that one. Isn't it in like most companies' best interest, like as a partner, like, I make money when they spend more. But in the reality is that if their bill is too high, they're going to spend less or move off of that, and you're not doing the customer good service. How do you approach that from a customer standpoint? Is like, you know what? You guys are spending. Are you guys proactive in a lot of these customers? Like, hey, listen, I looked at your environment, and we can do a number of cost savings things. And isn't it a customer obsession?
Yeah, we certainly try to be, and it depends upon the engagement. But it's interesting also to see, some customers take that data and go, you know what, that's good to know, but we're kind of doing it this way for right now, and it's working, so we'll stick with it. So it really depends. But at WWT, we do have another team that is actually separate from what I do specifically on the cloud architect side that does deal with some of that. And so we have some tooling, and I know that there are other services out there that are similar, where essentially you don't necessarily pay for that cloud optimization up front. It's not a service that you're saying, hey, we're always paying for this per month or whatever. But when we do find that optimization and those cost savings, then the payment is really just kind of a percentage of whatever you make back off of the savings.
I won't even get into any of the payment stuff. I'll let you guys a little bit a little agnostic, but I love what I've worked with WWT in the past. And I've actually talked to a number of the folks there. Really great. You know what's interesting about WWT is that I did not hear from them until probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't even know who they were, but they're like a multi-billion-dollar company that is huge and good at what they do, right? And I think having people more aware of it, like folks like yourself, like Chris Williams, and really talking more about some of the capabilities and benefits, and not shouting like obviously buy, just be like, listen, we can help you achieve those ultimate goals with it, not only your cloud environment, but a number of things that you're looking to do. So I like learning more about it. In fact, so Adam hit us up on Twitter, and he's like, yo, I'm downstairs. I'm like, come on up, man. Let's join the show. And then I said, Adam, how would you like to be on it? And he's only has a couple of minutes. So I'm going to ask you this last question, okay? What's your favorite AWS service?
Oh, wow.
Or services, if you want.
That is a great question. I think the first thing that really got me was S3. It was one of those things. Hey, this is like the groundbreaking service from AWS. It's something that I personally utilize a lot outside of just work and the stuff that I do. So I'm gonna go with S3.
All right, here's a challenging question for you, and it's okay. I'll put you on the spot. Do you know when S3 was publicly announced? Let's just say, or they were the first service. Now, there's argument to SQS was the first service, but SQS was not a public service. It was an internal one. S3 was the one that went public. And in 2020, was it 2020? They celebrated their 14-year. I think it was 14.
Sounds about right. I didn't want to throw a guess out there because I
know 15. No, we were in so was it 21? Yeah, something like that. Man, my God, days are flying by.
Well,
anyway,
speaking of the things I'm interested in, I know that I think that there was some stuff in social media about the beginnings of Amazon.com and the whole distributed, cloud that they built from that. And I think there's going to be some mention of that in tomorrow's keynote. So I'm definitely really looking forward to that.
Ooh, you didn't answer what year for the S3, by the way. I see how you got around that, man. He's a pro. You should be in PR, by the way. Avoid that question. I will be interested in seeing some of that come out. Now, we are paying attention live on a keynote. I'm not letting you off the hook for answering that. Don't you worry. Swami's here talking about the educational program that's happening and the feedback and give back that they're doing. They have AWS Machine Learning University now provides educator training. Wait a second. They released high school stuff and free stuff. Now it's educator training. AWS is always doing amazing things, not only educating the skills gap. Oh, we never got on a skills gap. What's your time look like?
I probably should get going.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I'd love to do this again.
Oh, so you would love to get going before you answer that. What year do you think S3 was released?
This is simple math here because you kind of gave me a clue there. So
I was trying to not put you on it. But I gave you 2 years, so you gotta it's a 50-50 chance.
Let's say 2007.
2006, but very close. Yeah, around there. Definitely.
Simple math is hard.
Do you know what day it was released?
One that ended in Y.
You should be on the show a little bit more. I'll give you a hint. It's in March. A specific day in March that everybody celebrates. That is a nerd thing.
Oh, the 14th.
There you go. Pi Day. Yes, 3.14. All right. So, all right, Adam, thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I am on Twitter, or what is left of
Oh,
Twitter
wow.
at this point.
It's still active as of right now. The time that we have is 10:10 Pacific time. It is still active. So
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to tweet a little bit. I'm maybe less active than others, but you can follow me at BonzoVT.
all right, thank you so much. Are you on LinkedIn at all?
I am, yeah, just
Okay.
Adam Fisher, and
Yep. You on
maybe you can see
Mastodon
me.
yet?
I'm
Can you remember that?
ish. No.
Yeah, not me. Adam,
One
thank
day.
you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great.
All right, everybody. Adam Fisher, thank you from WWT. All right, so I am John Myer. I am your host and podcaster for today. We're doing some number of live streams talking about what's happening here on Swami's keynote. And we're getting into the favorite part of Deep Racer, was just on the screen. 150 plus courses and counting for AWS and skills, architecting, ML ops engineering, and all kinds of things happening. And Swami's really good about the data and the analytics. We will bring you some more of those up-to-dates. You can follow us on LV Reinvent 22. I'm used to actually talking to myself a little bit at a time. Okay. That's my daughter's looking at me like I'm crazy. So a huge shout out to everybody that is attending and joining us in the room. Are definitely, this is a family affair. My lovely wife downstairs helping out with our guests. My daughter in the room. Mr. Eric Wright is celebrating or past celebrating his 50th birthday and recovering. He'll be back onto the show. Don't worry about it. Don't forget, you can follow us on gotomarketdelta.com/live for all your reInvent needs and happening. Now, let's see. Who do we have up next? I think we have Dustin and Travis come on next. You know what? I'm going to stay on here and I'm just going to bring them on up. We're not going to even take a 5-minute break. I'll just continuously talk. Oh, and I will learn the controls on how to switch. Let's see. I should have done this on a break. Let's see. Number 2 is number 2. Oh, nobody's there. So you guys can right here, right in front of me. Join me in. Yep. Yes, the camera is on you, splitting in, and I will cut over to you. We'll leave the camera on you. Yeah. All right. There we go. And I'll have you guys make sure you slide yourself forward. You want to be about a fist difference from the mic so we can. Yeah. There you go. First, that's perfect. And by the way, your mics are hot. Perfect. So, all right. Yeah. Exactly. No, they won't burn you. Okay. Hey, everybody. John Myer here, and we are hosting live from the Vidar Suite. Don't forget to drop into our comments or DMs. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of information. We are on day 3 of reInvent. Day 5 is streaming. What day of the week is it? Who knows? All right. Well, Swami's up, so we definitely have that. Oh, don't forget. Let me read through a couple of things that are happening today after Swami. We do have the AWS Partner Keynote by Ruba Borno happening at 3 to 4:30 at the Venetian. And they do have an online version of that. So that's actually pretty cool. There are leadership sessions. I love the leadership sessions. You get a different perspective. It's not a keynote, but it's actually talking to the leaders from AWS and the information that's happening online. We have Jeff Carter, Francesca Vasquez, Vice President of Technology and Customer Solutions, joining it. Wendy Bauer, General Manager, Automotive. Ooh. That one's actually sounds like a nice, interesting session. All right, now it is time to cut over to our guests. I'm going to let them do their introductions, and then we're going to talk about some bad tech. No, we'll just talk. I won't spoil it. All right, let's cut it on over. All right, so I'm going to go left to right. Who's up next? By the way, I do know your name. I'm just going to let you do the introduction so I don't butcher it.
Hey, it's all good. My name's Dustin Hollum. I'm a cloud architect for a company called Technology Group Solutions. And I actually also am a founder of. Is that coming across?
Yeah. You're good, man. A founder of Bad Tech.
Bad Tech. As well.
I not to cut into it just a second. I was walking back from the Venetian, and this guy had a jacket on with Bad Tech on the back of it, and I was like, out of the 70,000 unofficial numbers, I was like, I know this guy. I wish I had some bad tech. So,
well, these are a very rare item at this point in time. We've only had a limited run, so
they're so rare. I don't have one yet.
Exactly right. That's you, man.
What list is that? The list of people. I'm actually going to cut over to the group. This is the room cam up there. We got Ben. Hey, all right. So Adam was just on there. We got Rob sitting on the couch. We got more people coming into the room. Let's cut back on over. So thank you so much, and founder of Bad Tech. We're going to get to what Bad Tech is and all the information.
Okay.
And let's cut on over to our next guest.
Hello, I am Travis Funnel. You'll have to excuse this is my first podcast, but I am a cloud architect with C2FO. Our mission is really to deliver a future where every company has the capital that they need to thrive. It's real exciting. We do that kind of by matching invoices between companies selling a product and companies buying a product. And then we accelerate that so they can get the cash that they need now rather than waiting 30 or 60 or 90 days. It's real exciting.
Oh, that's we're going to get to that. I want to hear a couple more information on it. All right. So, Travis, your first reInvent?
This is my first
Your
reInvent.
first reInvent?
Never been to Vegas before.
You've never been to Vegas, and you're coming for a reInvent?
Oh.
Wow. Yeah. It's a very busy time. You don't get much downtime. It's always hectic and run, go. But don't worry about it. You have a good time on it, and you get to join a podcast. How often is that, right?
It's so exciting.
And from a hotel suite that we are. If you guys haven't seen our pictures, this suite is a sweet setup. I was going there and I was trying to be like, am I going to pun this or what? I mean, we literally have everything sitting, at the table. The camera systems. This is pretty cool. All right, let's cut back on it. By the way, guys, I apologize anybody if I cut or do some things, but I've got to manage, control social media and everything. This is what happens.
It's a lot of buttons over there.
There are. Yeah, I already messed up the beginning of it. I was showing the Black Magic screen, and I've had the overlays and trying to do this thing, and this is where I start to miss Eric for he's had 2 days of experience, and I had 30 minutes before kickoff. All right, Dustin, let's talk about you. I mean, what do you want to talk about? Well, actually, is this your first reInvent?
No, I think I was actually trying to figure this out. I think this is either my 4th or my 5th.
Are you counting reInvent 2020? I mean, I think everybody should count it if they were online or watch something.
I do not count.
Okay, yeah. Physically here it counts,
Physically
right?
here, yeah. So my first one was in 2016.
So
And I
same
think I
here.
missed one other one besides 2020 in there.
I haven't missed one, but my first one was in 2016. That's pretty cool. When did you arrive?
When did I get here?
Yeah.
This week. I got here Sunday afternoon.
All right. So for reInvent, and let's talk about. Wait, the live stream concluded. Wait a second. Hold on a second.
Is it over already?
Swami's done, and he's supposed to go to 10:30. Normally they're like 10:45. I feel gypped. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's over. We'll do a recap of what's happening on Swami's note. So, what are you looking to get out of here on this reInvent?
Well, honestly, I'm really just kind of interested to take in a good idea of like where Amazon's going as far as like just some of their higher level services. I mean, I think we've all been building with like the lower level IaaS services forever. So I see us, moving to a future where Amazon has got these much higher level services that can drive businesses where cloud architects like us don't necessarily have to think about like that low level. How is that service built? I just want a reliable service that I can tie together and create value out of. So this is always a great place, I think, to go through the expo hall, interact with different vendors that are kind of like working around in the space and just kind of figure out what kind of new cutting edge stuff is coming. So that's what I get out of it. The sessions I also enjoy going to, but they're kind of hard to get into, and like actually planning a week full of schedule that you could execute on is near impossible. So I've given up on that.
The planning for AWS reInvent sessions is literally, so we've been planning this event since June.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to organize folks coming in and out through the entire event. And, it's just been, today's going really good. I think because I'm managing the time. No offense, Eric, at all. So, but it's pretty cool because I want to get as many people on the mic as possible. But so just like this podcast, I actually plan and organizing time for folks to come in here. It's very difficult. So for sessions, what I always, and you can't even double book a session. They don't even allow you to do that in the app. But if it's like, because obviously giving everybody a chance to do that, but you're like, I don't know which one to go. And I want to know where I'm at. So I'll take these two. And then by the time you get to it, you're on a waiting list. And I always tell people, if you're on a waiting list, that's okay. Get on over there, wait 5 minutes, you'll get in. You might miss the first 5 minutes, but you'll get into it all. But I completely understand. I do not get a chance to attend any sessions when I'm here.
Yeah.
I would love an expo pass, expo only pass, so I can go in there and talk to the folks and find out some of the cutting edge technology, some of the people that I enjoy the networking of this event.
Yeah, I think that Expo Hall is probably the greatest value piece of this. Well, plus all the T-shirts too. I mean, this is when I restock my T-shirts for the whole year, right? So,
This is the time where you're like, all right, I need to rotate some out and,
Yeah,
and get some
exactly.
new ones. Don't forget to grab some swag in the other room before you go. Then,
Already grabbed.
oh, there you go. See, we'll stack you up on it. All right, so Travis, let's talk about what are you looking to get out of reInvent?
Sure. So I am I'm really passionate about DevOps and DevSecOps. So they're really cultures about providing, I want to say, self-service tools for teams to automate their deployments in a self-service fashion. They can say, I want this, and it can go deploy. But the hard, fun part is figuring out how to do that in a secure manner, a truly secure manner where other humans can't get in and inspect the secrets and copy them.
Ooh, I want to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to dive into a couple of those. You seem very passionate about it. I think we can pull out some great information.
Let's do it. But I'm a huge HashiCorp fanboy. Automating Vault with Terraform, things like that. The current adventure is to create. Actually, I just said that infrastructure without secrets that are inspectable. But it's an amazing ecosystem that we have that changes as the cloud continues to evolve, and it's really exciting just to be here. So I guess thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, hey, you're not done yet.
No,
we gotta. Thanks for. We're not wrapping up yet. So, Dustin, talk to me a little bit. I know bad tech, and I'm not sure which one you want to talk about or everything. You're also a co-founder of it.
Mhm. I can talk a little bit about it, just at a high level.
What do you want to talk about? So
Bad Tech is kind of the brainchild of myself, Ben, and another guy, Aaron Blythe, who could not be with us this year. He actually works for a competitor to AWS, so was unable to attend. But
I
basically,
gotcha.
we have worked together to produce several different events in the past. So DevOps Days was one of the things that we've worked with a team of organizers to build. Ben has been very involved in the VMUG user community and was the president of that organization for a long period of time. And then, I guess between all of us, we got to a point where we had done DevOps Days for several years, and then the pandemic hit, which kind of put a kibosh to the production of those events for a little bit.
Okay, I gotta call this out. You are awesome on the mic because we were just doing some, and you were just going with the flow.
Was that good?
Oh my God, I don't mean to stop your flow, but literally, so Travis's phone was making a buzzing sound on the mic. So we were like, "Hey, could you get this?" And you were totally oblivious to what was going on while he threw his
you
phone.
guys were doing something.
Yeah.
I was just trying to.
You were good about it. But I had to call it out because I was pretty good. So anyway,
Well, for what it's worth, you were making intermittent eye contact with me.
Yeah.
Which made me feel like I was doing the right thing.
Yeah,
so there was a lot of subtlety there that
I've done this a couple of times to keep the guests in flow. But these behind the scenes that you can't cut. This is the stuff people go, I apologize. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. So I think where I left off, we had done DevOps Days. The pandemic happened. That kind of put a kibosh to the event. We have had a couple fits and starts to try to start another one of those. And then we kind of came to the conclusion that I think while we all have an interest in DevOps and still have jobs that, are in that DevOps space, I think we wanted to put on an event that was a little more broad and future looking in nature and not necessarily focus on the same kind of technical practitioners. I mean, yes, we're interested in technical practitioners, but I think all of us are equally interested in just future technologies and how they're going to change the human experience in the next, decade or two. So we're actually in the process of putting together our first, I think, 3 event series that we're planning on executing sometime in the first half of 2023. It's going to be branded Next 5. And the general idea is we want to bring in people that can speak about what the world's going to look like 5 years from now and how we as, not only technical practitioners, but just humans in general can be prepared to meet the change that's going to exist. So, I mean, right now, obviously we're at a high powered technology conference. We can see all of these different AI and ML announcements. Services that are building blocks are being tied together into higher level services. And I think we've all seen some of the things that are happening with artificial intelligence, like the DALL-E, image creation, stable diffusion, GPT-3, like these general purposes intelligences that are open source and are becoming
Those are
more
nice at
accessible.
GPT-3, Graviton, IO, all the stuff that they're doing and how they're going to be utilizing those. I always wait for the next reInvent on what's going to be announced. I know obviously Graviton and
Yeah.
Graviton 3 and go into it. And now Graviton 3E was released. So there's always iterations and versions of it. So I agree with you.
Well, I think it's neat. I mean, Amazon specifically is building or working to build silicon to meet these very specific needs, which is cool. And especially if we could deliver this kind of compute with a less energy consumption, like that's a win for humanity, I think, in general. But yeah, either way, where I'm going with that is I think those technologies, while we talk about them at a tech conference where we're also talking about HashiCorp, technologies and Vault and Terraform and all that kind of stuff, like that stuff will water down to my parents and my brother, who's not a technical person but is going to be using that are built on these platforms. I want to know what that looks like in 5 years, and I want to invite people that have a strong a vision of what the world will look like in 5 years for all of us to come talk at a conference and I guess challenge us to think along with what that future looks like. And one of the things that we also really want to do, we can all make predictions 5 years out. A lot of our predictions won't match up. So if we can put people in a place to, explain where they think the future is in 5 years and also debate why they think somebody else may be wrong about their opinion. We want to be able to create a space where we can have those kind of discussions and we can all get to thinking together about what the world will look like in a few years and hopefully how we can make it better.
Well, stay tuned. Tomorrow we're talking sustainability, actually.
Okay.
So Adrian's going to join us, Aaron Booth. We're going to get Adrian Cockcroft back on, but will be remote. Plus, us sustainability. AWS always doubles down this time of the year, and rightfully so as a company going for it. So, Travis, let's get back to HashiCorp and the secrets. You seem really passionate about it. So, maybe we can explain a little bit more on what you would like to see.
What I would like to see with Terraform or with Vault or what specifically?
Actually, let's go with Terraform and then let's go into Vault. So I like Terraform, by the way, and I got a lot of great colleagues who I haven't dived into it as much as I'd like. I've done and deployed a bunch of those, but what's your experience with Terraform?
Yeah, so my experience with Terraform, it's actually one of my favorite tools to really keep track of where the infrastructure is and overwrite any changes that have been made to that infrastructure. Is actually really, honestly, not the easiest thing to get into. And I think that's the biggest challenge for other devs when we're trying to make self-service solutions. Like, okay, we've written this really nice Terraform module that can go out and provision 1 or 2 or 300 of these things with slightly different variables. But the learning curve for devs to come in and make changes for themselves is pretty intense in some situations. So I think the next steps are to really make that more usable. And I know there's been a lot of tools that have come out. I've actually been introduced to a few here. I'm not the greatest at remembering names, but I think once we get to a true self-service Terraform ecosystem, companies will just continue to thrive.
What do you think of AWS and how they've adopted and utilized Terraform? So Terraform, obviously deploys out public cloud from all the environments. But, what do you think from an AWS perspective? We are here at reInvent, and Terraform is always in play because they have their own cloud formation, right? And their own. What do you think of the two?
So I'm going to start on the first one. AWS is at its core a service of a million building blocks at this point. And Terraform does a really good job of combining those blocks in a usable manner. Somebody can just say, hey, I want this. Somebody else has already made it, assembled those blocks together, and you can kind of make your own copy, which is really exciting. I've also played with CloudFormation a little bit, and honestly, back to Terraform. Really just because
I want to understand, dive into that.
Right.
Why did you go back to Terraform from CloudFormation? And was it missing some of the capabilities you wanted, or just the one ability to talk between multiple environments? And it's easy, it's agnostic basically.
Honestly, for me, it was our deployment methods. So we use ephemeral GitHub runners, which is really exciting. We can spin up a new pod to make the Terraform changes that we need to using our GitHub as our source of truth. And I'm not saying that we don't use CloudFormation. Honestly, we've started building CloudFormation with Terraform in cases that we need it. They're both really good tools that can do similar but sometimes different things.
Nice. So before we switch back to some of that one, I want to talk, Dustin. I want to talk a little bit about bad tech.
Okay.
First of all, it's a very interesting name.
Thank
Right.
you.
And I know the origin and how it came about. Eric and I have had plenty of conversations on it. Let's talk a little bit about bad tech. What is bad tech?
So Bad Tech is an event production company. Our intent is to use this company to produce not only conferences, but other educational materials in different types of mediums. So that could be videos, printed materials, anything, web content, etc.
I apologize. I hit the wrong button to get you over there. You were like half in the camera. Man, this
That's all right.
multitasking thing is just trying to get everything. There we go. Now
I'm only like half in reality. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. So you're like producing the events, helping the events, coordinating the events, and how's that? Here for like AWS, the conversation's great. Are you working towards some additional events? Are you liking our event?
Yeah. I really like this kind of format, and I think the network that you guys have, the people that you brought in here to have this sort of like meta layer of conversation around this big event, like that makes a lot of sense to me. I think we want to enable free flow of ideas, and I think one of the things that we want to do is just be able to craft an event in our own image. Like I said before, Ben, Aaron, and I both have different sets of experience in event production, specifically like more of a conference type event. So, the DevOps days at its Seminole, Kansas City instance, I think we had 100 and some people, and then by the time we did our last one, we were up to well over 400, close to 500 folks that attended that event. So we, seen some different scale and dealt with challenges of putting that on too, in the course of that production. So I think Bad Tech is created to kind of give us an opportunity to do that same type of event, but not underneath the umbrella of a larger organization like DevOps Days.
DevOps Days. Oh my God, I've attended a couple of those.
Yeah.
That's actually really good at what they put together.
Great events.
They have come a long way. It actually started out really small, and then it's just grown completely through a lot of things and a lot of the series for it. They put on everything like, going from a DevOps background and handling some of it. I like they're doing in the community.
So one of the things that actually pulled me to there, I worked for a large telco for a long time, very like traditional IT environment, very siloed. I got to a point where I stumbled into an opportunity as a DevOps. I guess I was technically a DevOps architect, DevOps engineer. I don't remember my title. It was a DevOps title, but it was a fully remote job. I was working, building, and deploying an application for this company that was out of Indianapolis. That I didn't actually see any of my coworkers other than on video calls. So what I was starting to look, after being trapped in my basement for a little bit, for just different communities in Kansas City where I could kind of connect with other people that were doing similar things, because the type of work I was doing in the DevOps space was just very different than what I did with the telco. And that's kind of when I found the Kansas City DevOps KC meetup group that also grew to put on this, the DevOps Days Kansas City conference. And that, to his credit, Aaron Blythe was the person that kind of like built that DevOps KC community. And helped grow it into the space where it could become the conference that grew up to 500 some people. So that I think that whole group, the willingness of people to just talk about what they're doing and like generally have an interest in learning from people, it was just a very inclusive kind of environment, and it resonated with me a lot. So once I started going to those meetups, I realized that this was a group that I want to be around a lot, and then have grown those relationships over the last, I guess like 6 years now.
Yeah, they definitely come a long way, the inclusive-ness of the group. And I apologize, I'm switching back and forth between the two of you because I want to get the most out of the information here while we're doing it. We have a different tail on it. have you been at the expo? Have you attended any of the sessions? Have you had a chance to swing into any of them?
I've only live streamed at this point in time. I haven't actually
That's
sat through any.
yeah. It gets a little bit. Well, the live streaming makes it easy, just like this event. In fact, I'm gonna that real quick. Don't forget to follow us on hashtag LV Reinvent 22. You can also go to gotomarketdelta.com/live. Catch us for all your live streaming needs. And I apologize. I am live streaming. It looks a little grainy. Hey, we're on the hotel Wi-Fi and we are hardwired in as well, trying to get the most of it. I'll tell you what, it looks clean in the room. I can't give you any more of that. Maybe we'll restream it afterwards. Huge shout out to all of our sponsors that have joined us for this event and that are putting it on. Don't worry, every year we will get better. And in fact, we will probably working with bad tech to get this a little bit more produced better and put on some of these. So don't worry, stay tuned. We've got a lot of things. This is what this event is about. It's the collaboration, the networking, the interaction with folks and bringing them on for that nice and awesome conversation. It looks like my live stream's catching up. Look how clear it is getting.
The bits were just slowed down along the way somewhere.
Yeah. There we go. I actually, so if you guys can't see, right behind me here is a router. We were actually hardwired into the event, trying to get the most out of the event. All right, coming back to it, I did want to do my traditional shout out. I am your host, John Myer. I'm soloing it today, and I'm talking for 3.5 hours, almost straight, with a little bit of break in between. Our other co-host, Mr. Eric Wright, is recovering from his 50th birthday here in Vegas. And if you know Eric, it doesn't mean what you think. He's definitely not partying. I am doing the man at the controls every which way. I'm going to mess up, but hey, whatever. You just got to go with it. Travis, let's roll back to you a little bit. Some more information. Have you had a chance to attend any of the sessions here at Reinvent, or are you looking forward to attend any?
I have gotten to attend one.
Oh, yeah? Which one was that? Oh, I'll put you on the spot. That's all right.
No, it was about using, I want to say using data in a hermetic way, how AWS uses the Nitro system, but doesn't actually have access to the data in the VMs or on the hardware. It was really cool. I got into the overflow stream for that one. I haven't actually been able to make it into any other sessions. It's really cutthroat out there.
It is. It's like do or die here on getting into sessions. Don't worry, everything will be available online afterwards. You can catch a lot of these. They do reproduce them and put them on their reInvents or their portal channel, or some you can catch on YouTube. They'll catch everything up. It does take a little bit of time. You imagine the massive amounts of content that they create throughout this entire event.
There's a lot of content here. I did get a chance to visit the, what do they call it? The AWS Village. They had these really cool Jeeps that they can deploy when there's a physical disaster somewhere in the world to help people.
Yeah, that was here at Remar. Where was that at?
I think it was in a white tent outside.
Oh, so they just had it outside the event. You must have got it on the way to the Caesars Forum or something.
It was just outside Caesars Forum, yes.
Yeah, because, okay, so I got a story for everybody. You're going to laugh on this, and I'm going to put the camera on you guys because you'll get a kick out of it. The reason, and it's seriously, so last year was the first year they introduced Caesars Forums. When you hear Caesars Forums, where do you think you're going? You can't answer, Travis, because you already knew where he's at.
To the mall.
Exactly. I walked across the street to the Caesar shops looking for it, asking all these folks, where is it at? And they're like, I don't know. Maybe upstairs, maybe over there. Turns out, and by the way, this was Sunday because it really wasn't kicking off. And I was thinking, well, yeah, and I knew a lot of folks from AWS, so they're like, "Oh, come over here. This is where we're at." Mm-hmm. Apparently, it was a invite only type thing where only those at AWS could get into it for the pre-setup. It's actually outside the back of the expo, right? You walk outside, or you can walk over to it, and there's a walk that allows it to, and it's called the Caesar Forums. It's an extension. And if you thought the expo and their sessions were big enough, this is an extension of that. It's another building. So you have
to go through the expo to get to,
right, Travis? So you got to go through the expo to get it, or is there another way?
You absolutely can go through the expo. Honestly, that's how I found it.
It's like the back way, and
yeah. If you go through the back of the expo, you can kind of go around, or if it's not open, you go around.
Oh yeah, the registration. If you follow the registration hallway down, right, you kind of get to it. So I want to give a shout out to everybody who has made the same mistake as me. High five to you guys. Definitely appreciate it.
Did you end up with any really expensive jewelry or watches when you went to the wrong place, at least?
So I'm gonna put the camera back on you as no, I didn't. what I did is I ended up with a 16-mile walk that day.
Hey, there you go. That's good for you.
I had a very
Get
long
those
day.
steps, man.
I actually, and you know, in fact, my day has how many steps did I have today? You know, we do this live. Actually, let me see actually some tweets to see what's going on. See if anybody's on there. I keep track of it only because I think it's interesting to see how many people and how many steps you do throughout it. Oh, I'm gonna press the continue button. Oh, continue. Cloud data is turned off. Wow. Oh my.
So many.
Oh my God! I got to
steps are
answer
you
all
on?
these. Forget this. I'm not even going on to this. We'll look at it
Did
later.
you see Twitter notifications when you picked it up and get sidetracked and lost?
I
too?
actually
That
saw
happens to
LinkedIn
me.
and Twitter. You know, Twitter's still around, by the way. So
is. As of now, what was the timestamp?
we're
10:40 a.m.?
10:40. We're still around. In fact, oh, yo, huge shout out to Rob for putting his Mastodon handle on his Twitter account. Yeah, I like that. So now we can follow each other on it. Oh man! All right, so we're getting back to it. Like I can't say I'm the social media. Thankfully, for my daughter is posting some and keeping us up to date since I have to handle all the controls. All right, let's get back to a little bit more of the fun and quirky stuff because that's what this is all about. So Travis, let's talk about these secrets you have. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't talk about the secrets.
Is there any of those sessions besides that you only attended the one outside that you're looking forward to that you would like to get into and that you're going to try to make? And remember, we are on day 3, so you got today and tomorrow. There are sessions on Friday, by the way. If people don't know, there's sessions up until noon on Friday. So, any session you're looking for?
So I think the next one I'm going to go to is the game day. This has been all about sustainability for me. And I got really excited, honestly, when I saw the description for the Jeep. I thought it was going to be some sort of game day about disaster recovery, which is another passion of mine, I guess. But I think the game day is going to be the next step for me. Just go play with some scenarios that they have, some real world scenarios that I haven't gotten to experience yet.
Did you know that the game day was originally developed for the Obama administration?
I did not know that.
Yeah, a little hint.
What?
Yes. So AWS Game Day came out of an event for the Obama administration. They wanted us to actually build. I wasn't at AWS at the time. I came in, I think, a year later, 2 years later. There's a guy named Danny who's really great at kind of created, and it was an idea. So AWS is really good about allowing their people to innovate and create things, and they don't have to ask a bunch of questions. They just go and start doing things, and that's what really comes up to it. So it all came about, and they had to find a way to reuse all the equipment because remember, you only have one email that you can use per account. So you had to use like subdomains and all that and figure it out. Now, you imagine we are going to run out of emails at some point, just like IP addresses, but that's why IP version 6 was developed. Well, subdomains. It was developed as a challenge, folks, to do it. And you have full control to make things like, I want to say break along the way behind the scenes. So if you have a really good group and you can say, all right, I want to give this a higher risk, that a higher ability things will go wrong versus a lower. So they are more challenged for the entire event. Game days are awesome. I love putting them on. I've flown all around the US helping AWS put them on. And what they develop is pretty cool.
Yeah. I think actually.
Have you played one?
In 2016 and 17, I did it.
Oh, so you're in the
haven't done it
original
since,
series. Yeah. You got to do it. You said Travis, you said there's a sustainability one?
Well, so
or there's something
this
similar?
whole conference seems to be about sustainability to me, and it's really about how do you sustain both your infrastructure as well as the world that the infrastructure is running on.
Nice. I like it. So, okay. So you're big on the sustainability. You're going to be following our podcast tomorrow, talking, all good things about the sustainability. The game day one, when's that one happening?
I believe it's later today. I've stumbled across them a few times, and I've not had my laptop with me when I got there, but I plan to actually take it with me today.
You must. So there is a kind of a rule, like if you read some of the descriptions, don't forget you have a laptop. You don't have to have an AWS account because they deployed those out for you. They're using their internal tool, which I hope is available to customers sometime. It's called Event Engine. It's not a secret, so I can give it away, which actually deploys out all these accounts. Having them for customers and partners is probably one of the best things if they can do that. If they haven't done it already. I haven't worked with a partner that utilizes it. And what it does is it provisions you a number of accounts for X number of hours that you can use under their free type stuff. So you don't have to create all these manually for yourself. And it deploys out infrastructure too to support it along the way.
So is that the same service that's breaking the infrastructure underneath you?
Yes. It's like
Big
Chaos
chaos
Monkey,
engine.
yeah, sitting behind the scenes on everything. All right, guys. I really appreciate you joining me for this conversation and this event. This is always fun. We don't have a script that we're going by. We don't even know what we're going to talk about. It's completely just humor and BS as we're going. I really appreciate this. Travis, where can folks find you?
That is not a question I have a good answer to. Probably LinkedIn is the best.
It's a
Awesome.
secret.
Oh, you're not on Mastodon or Twitter or anything, but LinkedIn you are. So how can they find you on LinkedIn if you want?
My name's Travis Funnel. If you want to search that, you probably find me. It's not up to date. I probably need to find a new picture while I'm here.
To get a picture in
something to
Vegas,
explore.
what you're doing,
Yeah, it'll
right?
be exciting.
Ah.
But this Mastodon thing sounds exciting. I've seen a couple people sign up just in this room, and I'll probably go explore that.
You're gonna explore it. We'll see how well it takes off. I think it's gonna be it's a quick thing that's happening now, but it'll be a slow trend on what's going on. I think as people settle down a little bit, both platforms are going to coexist, and we just need. I think we just need one platform that just works to all platforms. And I can just post it and say I only want to go to this one and this one.
Yep.
I like Mastodon because I can do more than 144 characters, and it allows me to do a lot for posting it. I just don't have as many followers on that. LinkedIn's my primary thing. So,
Yep.
Okay, Dustin, let's talk a little bit about you. How do people find you?
I guess there's a couple places. I'm on mostly all the mediums, but I'm the PVD on Twitter and then Gunholub on LinkedIn, HOLUB. So those are probably the two main places.
And if they want to find out more information, maybe about Bad Tech, by the way, I got to go with the name. It's like perfect for a lot of stuff. And I think people will kind of dig it.
So Bad Tech, we do have a domain, but we don't have our website fully launched yet. So we're still kind of in, I guess.
But I'm already bought in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm ready to go.
So yes, I'll make sure and get that all shared with you once we are fully.
All right. Perfect. So don't forget, folks, to follow them on everything. I am going to take a 5-minute break because I haven't taken one in a little bit of time, and I need a breather. I need a drink just to rehydrate. I got to thank our guests for joining me. I really appreciate this last minute. Put you on the spot. You had a little bit of prep, and we do it all off the cut. So thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for the combo. Yeah.
All right. Awesome, everybody. Don't forget to follow us on LV Reinvent 22. My name is John Myer. I'm your host. Just for today, maybe both days, all days, who knows what's going to happen. We were winging it as we go. We were fully planned all week. No, just kidding. Don't forget, go to gotomarketdelta.com/live for everything Reinvent. Watch, drop us some DMs, comments. If you want to join us, we have the rest of today that we are live streaming into 11:30-ish or more. Depends. We've been going an hour afterwards, just continuously going with things. If you can't make today, we are tomorrow and tomorrow only afterwards. That's it of our Reinvent experience. Like I said, don't forget, we will give you all of it. Tomorrow is Warner's keynote, and you can bet it's going to be good. Everybody attends it. Out of all the keynote sessions and speakers, Warner, everybody's listening. I bet you they will get the highest feed in the entire time of it happening. So, all right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up. Then I'll do a recap on what's happened here with Swami's keynote that did end early, in my opinion. But we'll talk about some of those releases, and we'll go from there. Once again, thank you, Gavin. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. All right, we are back. I need some music. All right, we're the opening mics. Hi, everybody. My name's John Myer. We are here broadcasting live from AWS reInvent. We were talking all things with great people, great sponsors, great conversations. And if I say great anymore, you can go ahead and hit me. No, just kidding. We have a lot to talk about and happening. We are at day 3 of our live stream of reInvent. Swami just wrapped up his keynote that was going on, and there was a couple of releases that we talked about. The Amazon Athena now supports Apache Spark and introducing the new ML governance tool for Amazon SageMaker. There was another one that I just clipped, and I was like, oh, man, this one actually sounded – oh, wow. Let's go to guard duty for RDS protection now in preview. You always have to take a look at some of those off announcements that don't make it during the keynote. Doesn't mean they're not important, but they have to pick and choose what's going on and happening. Let me count all these announcements. Oh, holy crap. There, 1, 2, 3. By the way, this is marked as explicit, so we're allowed to say that. Then we have another guest joining us. Yes, I don't have the camera on her yet because I don't want to spoil this. Don't forget to follow us on hashtag LV Reinvent 22. Drop a question or comment in the chats. The chat's DM. on all our social media channels, going out to YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you get it, Mastodon. Oh no, we're not there yet. We might be. We'll you just can't stream to everything. Now I think we need to get started and introduce our next guest because this is going to be fun and reminisce a little bit. I am not going to introduce you, but I would like you to. Oh my God, I got to introduce you. Joining us now is Valiswa Boya. Valiswa, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are? We've done this before, but not in person.
Yes. Is this not awesome that we actually can meet in person now? Hi, everybody. I'm Veluswa Boya. I'm a developer advocate at AWS. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa. So I flew a day and a couple more hours to get here.
This is your first reInvent too, isn't it?
First reInvent, yes.
And you have talks.
Yes. And so I look after this AWS community of sub-Saharan Africa. And of course, beyond that, you can talk to me. You still can talk to me, but I'm mainly focusing on sub-Saharan Africa. I'm very excited to be here. It's my first reInvent. I think last night was probably the first time that I actually went that I think I'm finally over the jet lag because it went on for quite a long time. So yes, hi, that's me.
So Valiswa, let's give everybody a little bit of backstory. You were on my podcast a year ago. You joined me. We did a podcast, and we were talking about this time of getting together and possibly doing it live. And we put together this whole entire event. And I was like, hey, we got to do this. We got to meet. We got to run into each other like we had in our conversation. And then we're walking, was it through Bellagio that we, yeah. So we're walking through Bellagio, and I'm like, I know her. Wait a second. It's one of those where you try to plan to meet somebody and you're never going to. And when you don't plan it, it happens.
Yes. So that was just weird. I was also not expecting it. Who is that there? But then we did that selfie.
Don't worry. I did a selfie and I posted it already for it.
Yes.
So, Valisa, your first reInvent, what are you thinking?
It's a lot. In a good way. It's a lot. I'm overwhelmed. And I've been trying since I got here to say, you need to just ease yourself in. Don't take on way too much all at the same time. But it's been great. And I think I've kind of been okay with deciding what I actually want to go and see, what I want to get involved in. Of course, for me, working at AWS, my focus is the customers and catching up with the community and just meeting people. I can't walk into sessions and I can't attend sessions. Those are for our customers. But it's been great for me to get to meet everyone. Yesterday, I had a bit of free time, so I walked the expo just to see who is here that I know, just to say hi to people. And I bumped into the now plural site, but they were a cloud guru.
It's a plural site. Hello, gurus or whatever.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. I was over there and saw it.
Yes. So when I started to learn AWS long time ago, they were the first people that I introduced to. So awesome, took selfies, met everybody. So it's just been great just to meet people.
Well, what's the feeling like to be great to actually be back in person? And as huge as this conference is this week, it is astronomical to see everybody in the hallways. I don't even know where people are going left and right.
Yes. What I was actually saying because I've been taking photos and posting on Instagram especially, but I've been saying to people that I have actually not even taken photos of the actual conference. So, like crowds, because I said my photos or videos won't even do it any justice. There's just so many people. It's unbelievable. And it's just been amazing.
Okay, let's talk. When did you arrive here in Vegas?
On Saturday, because I was expecting major jet lag. So I said, let me just make sure that I get here so that I can recover. And but also my first talk was going to be happening on Monday anyway. So Sunday was all the tech checks. So I kind of had to get here on Saturday.
No, I arrived on Saturday as well, kind of get this entire setup kind of ready to go for us. I can't comment to the jet lag at all. I've never experienced it. I think my longest flight was like 6 or 7 hours at one point. So I can't fathom any of that. Let's talk about your talk that happened on Monday. What was it about?
So that was a talk on how to understand the basics of cloud economics. And I was doing the talk with the other developer advocate, Anna Kuna. She's from Brazil. She's a developer advocate there. And what really drove us actually doing that talk is, I think mainly, I know this affects everyone, but our communities especially, getting a surprise bill of $100
Bill Shack.
in my currency especially is a huge thing. And so it's a talk that was so close to our heart. What we actually wanted to, what the talk was about is, we did actually, when we started off, we said what this talk is not about, and then we did what the talk is about. So what the talk was about is how to do the basics, when you start and when you open an AWS account, how to make sure that your budgets are set up, how to make sure that you understand the billing dashboard, that you do Cost Explorer, to do those deep dives into what are you spending your money on and what are you actually using. We touched on free tier and how that actually helps you offset some costs as you are experimenting with AWS. So that's what we actually talked about. It was a chalk talk. And it was so great, all the feedback we got from people who were attending, sharing their stories as well of their surprise bills, because we haven't had those stories to share. It was just so great. It was amazing. Oh, we actually got a repeat for Friday of the exact same talk.
I was just about to ask you that for the repeat. Excuse me. Man, talking for 3 hours, you get a little bit. I was just about to ask you that this is definitely a session I've highlighted it. So I did a choose your own adventure for every day of the week, like 2 or 3 sessions for choose your own adventure of cost optimizations at AWS for reInvent, kind of highlighting the courses and trying to get the most out of it. So they were time bound and oriented. So you kind of went through those. That yours was one of the courses that I highlighted that was happening. And the course of talking through the cost optimization stuff, I saw yours and I was like, is there going to be a repeat for this course? Because I see the value of it actually being able to share. I'm glad the stories that people are sharing about their bill.
Yeah.
That's probably one of those where it resonates with everybody when they don't understand how to manage and monitor it.
Yes. And the stories are so similar for everybody, actually myself included, because we all, when you open your account, the next thing you want to do is to just dive in there and start building. Very few of us actually stop and go, oh, what am I spending on? And how much do I want to spend? We always do that after the fact. And the stories are always like, oh, I've been burnt a couple of times. And then I went to look to see what do AWS budgets, well, how do they work? How can they help me? It's only after the fact that I actually went to do that deep dive to understand what I'm actually doing on this account. It's only after the fact that I went to understand really what does free tier actually offer me. And what the talk was about is just you can actually avoid yourself all of that by doing all of that stuff before the fact. Of course, it's not too late that you are going to do it, but yes, you can do that proactively before you get burnt. That was the whole story.
How are you educating people on what free tier is about or how to utilize AWS and get the most out of it in free tier? Because I know within the free tier environment, you're only getting certain services or utilize it for so many hours. But that's, obviously to whet your appetite and to get in there and kind of play around with some of those. How are you educating on to be aware of their free tier and when it expires?
Okay, so that was the great, exactly that section, that session, or that section of the session was a great part that Anna, my course speaker, actually took everybody through. She explained the different types of packages within free tier, because some is free, is always free, some is on trial, some is for the first 12 months, and that's it. And she actually did a very great deep dive over that. And that's what you look at. It differs per service. It differs for sometimes for instances within a service, like with the EC2s. Not all instances will be covered by free tier. So she actually did an amazing deep dive there on how that actually works. What we actually are saying is that we're hoping we'll have a lot more opportunities to give this talk over and over again. We don't think it should just stop at reInvent. It's such an important talk. Although it was leveled at a level 100, it's a very important talk no matter who you are if you're building on AWS.
Now, to set up for success within AWS, and you deal with a lot of customers that are kind of getting started, right? Or kind of getting in there and making sure, or existing customers, they're trying to get the most out of AWS. What are some of the key things that you're telling them to set up for success? Like you said, I just want to get in there and start building. I've never had the power at my fingertips to do these certain things that were available, where you used to actually have to set up the full infrastructure, take you 6 months to actually do some ML, some education, some training for it, using like a full messaging system or everything. Those who have never used like even firewalls or playing around with a virtual network, they just want to start building. But then you have to get them aware that what they're doing has a cost associated with, which they never had to be aware of. How are you helping educate them or making them successful without getting that bill shock?
So what's so great, and I use it a lot, especially with, like you just said, now a lot of my community is starting out with AWS. AWS, we've got all these labs, we have all these workshops, and they can provide a safe space for you to actually go and explore, um, and there's guidance in there as well. So that already starts to guide you as to, because I know, right, the platform is huge. There's a lot that you can actually do there. And where do I start? And I find those labs and workshops that we have to be quite useful. Also, to make sure that you are part of communities, and these can be online, or you can follow people who are already doing this and you can learn from them. And just make sure you surround yourself with people who are already building on AWS. That has become very helpful, and it's a guide that I give to a lot of people that I talk to, especially when you're starting out and you're so excited you want to do things, but which one do I start with and which one do I leave alone for now? And that tends to quite help just to figure out or find people who are already doing it and you learn from them.
Communities are key and very important. Taking some of the things as a developer advocate for AWS, you're highly involved in a lot of the communities that are out there. Not only educating your customers, but educating those who want to use it and growing that community base. I always feel that developer advocates for AWS are more important than the AWS area itself because they're the voice of the community. They have a lot of power to kind of talk with the community, to grow with the community and bring back that information. When I talk about AWS and developer advocates, I know so many people that can name a number of their developer advocates. But then you talk about them and ask them, like, well, who are some of the leaders at AWS? And you can name the top, couple of those. But DAs are one of the ones that are down their hands on in the voices of the community. What are some of the community things that you're involved in?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Well,
something.
are you involved in like immersion days, user groups? You were involved in a user
Yeah,
group. I saw
user
your
groups.
post. You had a user group meetup.
Yes, so I do a lot of mentoring, especially with community. Everyone is new, everyone is excited, and so I mentor a lot. I when I introduce myself and I say I'm a developer advocate, people always ask, "What do you do?" And one of the things I say is I speak at meetups because we do that a lot. I speak at conferences. Uh, I write blogs. I like to write. So I am actually one of the authors in AWS News blog. Jeff Bars, one of the bloggers there. I joined the team a
Congratulations.
couple of months ago. Very exciting to be part of that. And this was my first reinvent that I got to write about a couple of launches that were coming up, and that was very exciting for me as well. So I do all of that, and each developer advocate actually we do different things. And for me, these are the things that I do, of course, tied to what my customer is actually looking for, and part of it tied to my passions as well. So I do all of those kinds of things. But I like to mentor it. I like to help those who are starting out on AWS and in tech as well, just to give them a guide. This is where you go. This is, this is where you start, because we all need that guidance from time to time.
We were all there once starting out in cloud, understanding it, playing around with it. We all have an experience of seeing some of that bill shock. In some way, AWS has been very helpful and forgiving, thankfully them.
Yes.
But we've been there, we've experienced, and all the stories that we go through and all the experiences is because we went through the issues before. We've learned them along the way and develop it. And now more than ever, cost optimization is very important. Given the current financial state of everything, people are being aware of their costs, but they still need to be innovated.
Yeah.
And that's where AWS comes in, is because a lot of their service is allow you to innovate, but at a inexpensive way or a cost-effective way. One of the things that I liked that they developed was their auto scaling feature, right? They allowed you to pull services, for up, down, whatever you needed. And one of the biggest things is that people usually didn't have their policy set correctly to scale down. So they were always up and they were always growing. That's an education matter. We just heard, I believe it was yesterday, from Adrian Cockcroft, who talked about Lambda, and they're no longer cold start. It actually starts up, and once it's running, they do a snapshot of it. It is a running actually instance, and there saves you a lot of time. And Monday, with Lambdas that are functioning, this is an improvement. AWS didn't have to do this; they could have just done it that way. But now they've been more efficient and being aware of not only the cost and the sustainability of a lot of companies and what they're trying to achieve. My question for you is, one of the things that I usually do or tell people to do when they first go into and create their account, obviously set up the cur. You need to set up your cur file so you can start analyze it and see it because everything resides upon it. What about budgets and alerts? Do you kind of, walk them through this? This is an important step.
It is very important. Uh, so the tricky thing though when it comes to budgets is before you can set a budget, you need to kind of know already what your spend is like. Well, you can always, I guess, you can always say, this is how much I actually want to spend from the get go. But usually it's driven by what your spend is like. So when we actually did the walkthrough with Anna, we started on talking about that cost explorer because cost explorer is showing you what you have spent already. It's showing you what you have provisioned already. So you look at that over a couple of months and you go, okay, it looks like I spent about a 200 US, well, it's about 200 US dollars a month. Do I want to, or is it okay? Because you're doing that deep dive to find out why you're spending all this money. And out of that, you can say, okay, I'm only willing to spend 100 US dollars a month. And then you go and set your budget to say 100 US dollars a month. So you set your monthly budget and then you do, out of that, you then drill down by use case or by project that you're going to be building. So budgets are very important that you set them. And we talk about that a lot when we do, especially when we speak to communities about now you've just provisioned your AWS account and this is the first thing that you want to do. So budgets are very important. Understanding what your invoice or your bill, what is actually telling you, understanding that and being able to actually read that and understand it. Looking at that and seeing what you're actually doing. And you can actually pick up some inefficiencies as well. When we're working, we talk about when you do that deep dive and you see that you've got these big instances, you can go, do I need to be provisioning these instances? Do I need to uh, spending all this money on them anyway? Do I need to? And then you can go look at your use case or your project, whatever you're building. And go, probably I don't. Now you can start to shut those down and go for something much more efficient. Sustainability playing into that as well. So we talk about that is really important. And to understand exactly what you're spending your money on is very, very important.
Valiswa, you mentioned something that I would like to understand a little bit more. When you set your budgets, are your customers setting it in US dollars and that's how they're understanding it or converting it? Or how are they setting it? Because you said, if you spend like 100 US dollars, that's too much or whatever. So I'd like to understand between the difference. Is it too much versus when I see 100 US dollars from my account, I'm utilizing, I'm like, yeah, that's all right. I'm good with that. But you just said that in the previous conversation is that 100 is a lot for a bit. So I think it's great to understand the value of what you guys are using and how it is. And, what it kind of equates to and translates to like US dollars.
Yeah. So for a lot of communities or markets, the conversion doesn't happen automatically as yet. Like where I stay, when I go to my billing dashboard, I see it in US dollars. But there are markets where that conversion has already happened. I think if you're in Brazil, you can see it in your local currency and all of that. But in most places in Africa, it's still showing in US dollars. So we go and then outside of that, do the conversion ourselves. But by now, I know what US dollars is a lot of money for me. So I see that and go, oh, that's a lot. So it depends on where you are. The conversion either has already happened for you or you still have to go and do it manually. But I think it's something that Amazon is working on as we're expanding and we have all these customers that are coming onto AWS all around the world. That's going to start to happen.
Well, Lisa, I want to switch gears a little bit. We were talking about reinventing, and Swami just released. There was an ML educator training, which is great because AI ML is huge. AWS has doubled down over the years and educated folks not only, and they've enhanced a lot of their stuff from like SageMaker, machine learning, Deep Racer, all those. How big is education and the skill sets? And are you, like kind of trying to improve those? How are they within your community?
It is AI ML specific.
Well, no, just skill sets with AWS. And I'm talking training and in general because, public cloud training, everybody's like, oh, we need a lot more for it. And we do. We're missing that. There's a huge skills gap to actually go to cloud. What are you seeing?
So it's what I'm seeing in Africa, especially, and it's so great to see, it's this collaboration between all these teams within AWS. There's a AWS restart program.
That was a good one when they came out. That I liked all the people involved in it.
Yes, it's gone really big in Africa. It is so relatable there. People enjoy the classroom format side to it because sometimes people don't have good access to the internet. So to be able to go to a classroom where there's a teacher there that can walk you.
So wait a second, AWS has like classroom training for Restart there in Africa for it. Like,
we partner.
oh, you partner with others.
Yeah, we partner with a training partner where we actually are going, and we will give them the resources, and they teach. They do the teaching or the training. So then we'll also provide them with exam vouchers. So when the students finish, they can write an exam. So there's been that program that's partnered very well. And then there is the training and certification team or program at AWS. From time to time, they will run campaigns where they're giving free exam vouchers if you go through this training. There's been that. It's taken off really well in Africa as well. Every time there's a campaign on, everyone really just goes crazy. And as developer advocates as well, from time to time, we'll have access to a couple of exam vouchers, and we will give those out through user groups. We actually partner with the user groups. So the leaders of the user groups make sure that everyone is prepared before they can get an exam voucher. Because the last thing you want to do is to give an exam voucher to someone who's not ready to write. Because what tends to happen, they either will never go share you that exam. So it's you've just given
You
out.
just wasted that. Yeah, somebody else could utilize it.
Yes, or they go right, they don't make it because they were not prepared, and you want to save them that experience as well. So there's been all those kinds of programs, all of them just working together and collaborating towards that. We always say as developer advocates, we're not teachers. What we do is we inspire. So we go and we plant the seed, and someone else can then take over and do that journey with you. So there's a lot of partnership that we actually do.
You said plant the seed and inspire, and like educators. I like that. So I just remembered something. Weren't you the first AWS hero in Africa?
I was the first woman.
First woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, congratulations for that. And now, and how long have you been at AWS?
What's the date today?
I know it's day 3 of reInvent. That's all I know.
When is the 3rd of December? The 3rd of December will be my 2nd year anniversary at AWS. And I always say to people, my AWS anniversary is like having your birthday on Christmas Day. No one cares because it's Christmas. It's like my anniversary. It's during reInvent, so no one cares because it's during reInvent. But 3rd of December is my 2nd year anniversary. So I joined during reInvent. Yeah, time just flies.
Wow, it will be this weekend already.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Hey, everybody, real quick, I wanted to recap. We're sitting here with Valisa Boy, developer advocate in Africa, the first AWS woman hero as well. You can follow us on hashtag LV reInvent. We're going to wrap things up in the next about 5 to 10 minutes. But we are talking all things AWS reInvent, developer advocates. We're going to have a couple more on tomorrow, or hopefully we're going to get Darko or Kobus, or are they one and the same? Maybe on the show. We got some cool things happening up, but developer advocates have a place for me. I loved evangelizing when I was at AWS, and I think that's where this all came about and was turned into. And don't forget, you can follow us on go-to-marketdelta.com/live. Don't forget to drop some questions in the comments. Tomorrow is our last day live. You got to join us in the room. Reach out to us. We're doing 8:30 to 11:30. We'll get you over and up. I will do as quick as possible to get everybody in, but get an amount of time here on the camera. Beliswa, is there anybody here at reInvent that you're waiting to meet that you haven't yet? Did you meet Jeff Barr yet?
I've met Jeff Barr. I've met Swami. Adam.
Who?
Adam.
Adam?
Yeah, Adam. But I always do this thing that some things I shouldn't even, because how are they even going to happen? This is Adam.
Hey, that's why we're doing this live. So I'm putting them on the spot.
But it will be him. It'll be him. And
I haven't met him yet.
I haven't met him. I haven't met Vanna. I was able to meet a lot of people. Well, quite a few amount of people yesterday when I did the walkabout in the expo.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I like to go for people who were very influential. When I started out on AWS, it's always so nice for me. It always feels so great. Just like I'm closing that loop. It's like, oh, we started here and then we ended there. So I was able to meet quite a few people. There are a lot of. I'm originally from South Africa. I did mention before. There are a lot of South Africans who work at AWS who live in the US. So it's always great to meet those as well. Yesterday I met Rudy Chetty. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, Rudy. Okay,
That was my
You
moment.
gotta. Rudy is awesome. Rudy and I go back. Him and I swung it. In fact, they interviewed me on Monday when I was over at the expo. I saw him doing it, and I just walked over. He said, "Hey, can I interview you?" And I'm like, "All right, let's do this." Rudy's so he was doing this before I was doing it, and I loved his personality and his kind of inspiration on some things. Rudy is fun, quirky, just like me, and I told him never change.
Yes. So that was so great, and I posted that, and everyone back home is my word. So because it is my word.
I'd love to get him on the show. I know he has a hectic time, so if it doesn't happen this year, I'm thinking we're going to be bigger and bolder next year. We'll have a huge. I mean, everybody that I am talking to loves this and loves coming in and just being able to chat throughout the event.
Yes.
So you met Rudy. What about Francesca Vasquez? Did you meet Francesca?
I haven't. I think she's also on that list of not even there.
Oh no, not at all. Don't even don't it. So Francesca and I go back as well. She when I was leaving AWS, I reached out to her.
Yes.
Her and I always chat. She was on my podcast when I was at AWS. So she was great personality, great. She has a leadership session. In fact, let me highlight that for you. And yeah, you can go and swing by. Tell her I said hello. The leadership session for Francesca is happening 5:30 to 6:30 today.
Okay.
It is at the Executive Cloud Insights, and I'll tell you usually where those are at. Top floor of the Venetian. Shh, nobody. We won't give away that secret. But if Francesca is watching, you know what? I'm going to tag her on the picture I just did. I'm going to say Francesca Valiswa is looking forward to meeting you. It's one of her. Don't you dare shy away from that. Great personality. Every time I'm here, I try to attend. If there's any sessions I attend, Sandy Carter,
Yes.
I would always attend hers, and Francesca's keynotes I attend from this room or because I can get the most out of it. But I like that because they're very informative. Everything. Don't you worry. I'll tag her. I'll ping her on Chime if you want. We're like, hey, I tagged. I tagged you on it and everything. What you think of Jeff Barr's hair?
Yes. Purple hair.
Do you know what color that is?
He had it. Was it
The official color? Did he have it on social?
He had it on social. I don't remember now. But
Eggplant. Eggplant. Yep.
I've just been calling it purple. How dare
Oh,
you.
that's okay. That's quite all right. Did he give you one of his stickers?
I've got one on my laptop.
Oh, do you?
When I met him at in Seattle.
Oh, when were you in Seattle?
When we met Jeff in Seattle.
When were you in Seattle?
We had DevRelCon in June.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Actually, so when I was at AWS, I remember that they would have those events. The last in-person event I attended for AWS was the SKO that happened in Chicago, right before the storm, right before the lockdown.
Yes.
On it.
Yes.
Okay, so you have, and before I wrap it up, you have your repeat session happening when?
The repeat session is on Friday at 11:15.
Okay, everybody, just letting you know that there are sessions still happening on Friday up until about noon o'clock. What man, I've had a long day. So up to about 12 o'clock, there are sessions still happening. I know people fly out afterwards. Oh, hey, here's a question. First of all, everybody, I have this switch of mind always happening. Are you going to replay? Looking forward to it?
That's on Thursday.
Tomorrow? Yep.
So tomorrow is, I don't know.
Well, if you've never experienced a replay event, it's full of. Do you like arcade games?
Yes.
Oh, go to arcade games. They have dodgeball. They have all of this stuff. They have a huge bounce out. Usually, I mean, this is the one of the cases and everybody loves. A huge reminder to everybody: AWS reInvent. This is day 3. Tomorrow is the last day. It's not of the learning sessions. The last day before of our live stream, but then the replay is happening. And then after replay, there are sessions on Friday as well. Replay, do not eat before you go.
Okay.
They have a ton of stuff
Okay.
happening.
I've seen as much as you can eat chicken wings.
They have
I've
all
seen
kinds of
that.
food. Oh,
Dr. Said the Carter was running, I can't
yeah,
remember, yes.
all kinds of food happening. All right, so Valisa, well, let me ask you this last question: is where can folks reach out to you or find you?
So I am on Twitter. I've got a very huge community on LinkedIn. That's where I do a lot of my posting.
Yep.
That's where I get a lot of engagement. I'm on Twitter. It's not too bad. That's where I am right now. Yes.
Nice. All right, everybody. You can reach out to Valise Wellboy on Twitter. You can reach out to her on LinkedIn, Developer Advocate at AWS. Right, that's your title. Like, are you a senior yet? We'll senior developer. Hey, this is very critical for me to make sure that I say senior is a lot for it, and I want to make sure I get your title correctly. All right, everybody. As always, Valise, thank you so much for joining and being able to do this in person.
Thank you very much. This was so awesome. This was great. We could do this.
Thanks
to
yes.
everybody as well for tuning in.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your first reInvent that you're able to attend, and you have a safe and happy travel home then.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, everybody, my name's John Myer. You can follow us on hashtag LV reInvent 22. Go to marketdelta.com/live for all your reInvent needs. Yes, we're not talking specifically just reInvent, but those are the folks that are on the ground, the technologists. This event is for you. We're talking with everybody with regards to what's happening in technology and getting the most of it. We're finding out the deep insights of things, and we don't have any secrets to share because everything's right out in public. We appreciate you guys joining us. We hope you enjoyed your time here for the event. We hope you enjoyed this live stream, this podcast. A huge shout out to all of our sponsors. Let me give a quick run for some of our sponsors. That's right. We have Cohesity, VMUG. Of course, go to Market Delta and Myer Media. We have the Shift Group. We had JR on earlier today. PTP, Ethan, yesterday. Nice group of people. Ezra Charm from N2WS. Bellfloor Technologies, Tia joined us free from IBEX Labs. Morpheus Data, it just so happens that Brad Parks just showed up in the house, and he's over there on the back cam. We won't switch to that. Converge. We have Rob from Racken and Lucid Link. Aurora Cloud Fix. We had Raul join us. Kitcaster, Halo Radius, and Michael Levan. Everybody, my name's John Myer. Thank you for joining us. And we'll be ending the stream now. And guess what? We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Thank you so much and enjoy. Have a safe and awesome travel.